It was very gentle. I want to be very gentle with that one. I didn't want to surprise anybody.
Well, with the direction that we're going tonight, it's good to start off on an easy foot.
Yeah, very gentle.
Hey
It's
everybody,
gonna be fine. It's fine.
hi Shelf
It's
Gaming.
great.
We're gonna do some games tonight. We're gonna play some Agon, Paragon games. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we lost, I want to say 4 or 5 characters in original Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
We're
I
gonna,
think
we're
everybody lost one.
yeah, everybody lost one. Oh no, Dom,
Dom didn't
Dom
lose
made it
one. Dom
Well,
lost
done
one the time before.
before.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
None of the original party was left
no,
at the end of the
No.
adventure.
no. That
In
was
fact,
not possible.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was not.
So that was fun. And then today when you were telling me the title of the island, I was like, oh, good. I'll go re-meet my characters.
Yeah, right. Hey, you never know who's going to show up. Like this cat that's decided that now is the time. Left me alone for like 30 minutes, but now's
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, of course.
That's the best time.
And so what do we got going on? We have, of course, Agon tonight. We're going to be playing some of that by John Harper and Sean Nittner. And we get to play around with the new compendium that they put together.
Yep.
So I can't wait to see the trials and all that kind of stuff and like what it's like.
I'm going to try to actually make use of that.
Yeah.
If I remember.
Or no, whatever. It don't matter.
We'll see. We'll see.
And then what else we got going on? We have this following week, Wednesday, we are going to start Red Markets. Are we doing character creation on Wednesday?
I'm not sure if we should be doing. I feel like there's a setup step for us before we go on stream to be working through characters, because it's not Shadowrun mathy, but there's some math involved.
Sure.
And then there's some questions around the setting that, we'll probably want to work up some lines and veils and make some decisions around stuff. And I don't know if we want to do all that directly on the stream.
So maybe this Wednesday is an off week for us while we prep for Red Markets.
Yes, we would prep for Red Markets on Wednesday and not stream it. But yeah, something like that.
Cool. So hang out with us on Discord while we do that. We'll be chatting in there, I'm sure. But we're going to be in a separate call doing our thing. What's up, Takes Jokes? And then Friday is going to be Mass Effect, which is going to be super awesome. And that is with the Consave crew, Taylor and Blair joining us to play some Mass Effect-y stuff. And so yeah, we got a nice little chill week for us coming up, which is pretty great.
My university was so kind as to give me one day off.
Oh wow! Was that Monday? Do you get Monday off?
I get Tuesday.
The generosity.
I get Tuesday. So that they're like Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, and then Tuesday, Thursday classes. The Tuesday, Thursday classes get one day, and then the others get one day. And so yeah, I get. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. I have to grade papers.
Yeah. I got 0 days off. I didn't get yesterday or Monday off. So, but my daycare is closed both of those days. So
that's excellent.
That's exactly what you want. You want that to be working with child. So either way, hey Ethan, let's get into the game. Let's do the thing. I can't wait to meet this island. I'm sure it's going to be cozy. Yeah. Very peaceful and serene. What's up, Rich?
I mean, it may be peaceful and serene. Like really.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. So yeah, I think where we left off, we left with like a little bit of like a button, like a little preview, right? I think this time we're gonna pick up with you all approaching the island, and we've already talked a little bit. This is the Isle of Akkaros, which may be familiar if if anyone's played Blades in the Dark. That's the name of like the main continent that everybody's on. And they do share some similarities. Primarily, you haven't seen the sun for a little while. It's just not in the sky that you can see. It's just kind of like this dark blue circle where the sun should be. It's it's kind of dark and spooky. a lot of mist around. Even when you've approached this island in the past, sometimes the mists have receded so far that you've not even been able to see them at all. But here the mists still kind of stay. And in addition to that, well, we'll get to the other commonalities between Akkaros and Blades and Akkaros in this game later on. But yeah, you all arrive on this island, and let's see. Yeah, so Akkaros is an isle from myth and legend, said to be the pleasure garden of the nymph Orphny, the torchbearer of Hades. Possesses only a single dwelling atop a forested hill with strange lights flickering all about in the darkness. And so that's what you see as you approach the island. There's a single dock. There are no structures near it, just simply, a place to moor a ship. And there are thick forests that kind of cover the island. And then you can see that there is a dwelling atop a hill in the center. And you can see that there are strange lights of blue and green and all of these colors that you're not typically used to seeing light take those particular colors, but yeah, and that's kind of what you see as you approach. So as always, we have a couple signs from the gods, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Phaedras is once again our fearless leader on this island. Well, we won't say fearless yet, but 2 signs are revealed to you all. The first of these comes from Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. And you see that her sign for this island is darkness. Every light snuffed out, every sentry blinded. And you see this as you approach. And strangely, you see another sign, this time from Hermes, the god of travel. And his sign is a shining beacon in the distance, guiding the lost back home. And so I'm sure those will get along just so well. I'm sure that you'll be able to please both of those deities with their differing desires. I'm sure it'll be great. But yeah.
I'm so sorry. Will you give me the first god's sign again?
Yeah. So Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, her sign is darkness. Every light snuffed out, every sentry blinded. Yeah. And you all have been sailing without the sun for some time. Perhaps, and it hasn't really felt like night necessarily. But as you approach and start sort of docking your boat on this island, you see that the sun sort of tries to rise in the distance. And it can just barely almost break the horizon. And it seems that the sun has actually just kind of stopped in the sky. And so you get this dull red glow, like the indication that sunlight will come eventually. But the sun itself has not risen on this day. And the island is sort of trapped in this twilight state. And as you all disembark, you can see that there are strange lights atop the hill. And these strange lights are ghostly blue flames covering the manor house atop the hill like a veil. And from deep within, you all can hear mournful wailing. And now, as you are actually sort of stepping foot on the island, you can see that all around the hill there are scores of these shadowy, translucent figures that are wandering about. Desolate shades of the dead, somehow freed from their toil in the underworld. Your sailors quail and lose heart. This is a haunted place. And so, will you attempt to rush past the spirits to the manor house? A contest of blood and valor versus the dead. Or will you make appropriate offerings of blood and prayers to appease them while you pass, which would be perhaps resolve in spirit? Yeah. So what all would you like to do? Because now, so you see that the only thing of interest on this island, right? The thing you are trying to get to is this manor house, but there are just all of these dead in the forest and along the paths and everything's like that. So how would you all like to proceed, and what would you like to do to sort of combat, combat or persuade or what have you. How would you like to deal with the dead?
We are going to run for it.
I was going to say exactly the opposite.
Hilarion wants to run for it.
Xenon would join you in this run for it strategy.
Well, now remember, Phaedras is the leader, and
That's
so
right.
if you would like to do the running thing, you will have to spend a bond with Phaedras to convince him. What was Phaedros's new epithet? Just remind me. I'm just.
Phaedrus's new epithet is Shade Touched, and his resolve in spirit's a D10. That's why saying Phaedrus is like, oh, let's just make them do what we ask.
I don't have those benefits, so I'm glad you have those benefits.
Well, Phaedros and I can go forward and you can take up the rear, giving your strengths to us in that way.
You can support us in this manner for glory, right?
You don't want to run from the shades. That does not sound very bold or daring.
Okay, but see, alternately, you're not perhaps thinking this all the way through. You see, if you give the offerings of whatever to the ghosts, and they don't like it, then they get you. You're still right here. But if you run by, you're gone. You don't have to deal with it. I mean, what happens if you offer up a nice pomegranate or something, and they're like, I don't like that. Now I'm going to eat you. No, we're already gone. I have a friend. He's a ghost bro. He knows you have to run for it. You have to.
I'm gonna support.
He stands his ground,
Phaedros.
thank you.
I'm gonna support Phaedros in this manner. Hilarion just won me over to the other side.
I like it.
We have found Hilarion with the shirt that says "No Fear," and then the Isle of Akkaros, one fear.
Yeah.
Say, Hilarion is a big guy. And he is always very careful about appreciating people's personal space. He makes sure that there's always room around him because he has a tendency to make wise sweeping movements and all of this. Hilarion is currently a little close to all of you. I'm not saying he's up on you, but he is definitely closer than he might normally be.
It may be relevant to the conversation at hand that these shades are considered ghostly. You notice this as you behold them, and you know for a fact that your mortal weapons will have no effect on them.
Oh, I got a special magic weapon.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got the rock of star metal like strapped to the club.
Mhm.
Or did you guys already get your weapons made? I forgot. I think
No.
No,
we
not
did
yet.
not we did not have
Okay, I remember.
the means to do so yet.
I remember.
But I have
I
it
know
currently
now when
tied
it's-
to a
Yeah, right now you got the lump of it. Yeah, it's something. But yeah, so are we doing resolve in spirit then? I believe is what Phaedros has requested.
If everybody's voting against me, okay.
Okay.
Guess. I
all
think
right
it's a
then.
good idea.
Xenon will lend his arts and oration to Phaedros.
Oh,
Makaria will take up this challenge.
So let me just swap over our scenes. We got our little dice roller there. Very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Great. So you are now who will engage in this contest of resolve and spirit against the despairing, vengeful, and lost dead of the Isle of Akkaros?
Makaria already said yes. Phaedrus will, yeah. Also,
Xenon is helping who?
I'm helping Phaedros.
Then I'll help Makaria.
Excellent.
I've already got bonds with Makaria, and since Phaedros is the leader, I need more bonds with Phaedros so I can sway him in the future.
Fair enough.
What are you giving me?
You know what? I'm going to give you blood and valor, because you know what? It's taken a lot of valor to stand here on the edge of this ghosty place with all these ghosts, and
What's the?
it's a D10.
Yeah, we got some big boy dice now. I've retroactively de-nerfed you. Oh, that's not okay.
Oh,
This is
What
a
was the-
perilous contest.
12.
Uh,
12 is the target number. Oh, and I'm giving you a D8, sir.
Okay.
this is a perilous contest, so mark out pathos if you suffer.
I couldn't find a means to give you craft and reason, but arts and oration, I feel like Xenon could help you there. No.
Oh, awesome!
Okay.
So
Yes.
we're
Starting
running,
off strong.
and
Starting off strong.
Hilarion
Yes.
gets his way.
So that brings us. So Phaedros, what do you do? Recite your deeds. You suffer, but what happens? And we'll figure out this scene, and we'll figure out. Y'all are kind of paying a price. This isn't like both of you suffered, but that doesn't mean that like you don't make it through. It just means that you have suffered consequences on your way up to the.
I think this is the first one that we've had where everybody failed.
Think so, yeah. That's good.
We're in the deeper
Yeah.
islands now, kids. This
Yep.
is
Deep dark water.
Yeah. So I think Phaedros, in an effort to try to make right and soothe these spirits that are there and all that kind of stuff, he kind of has them bring down like one of the smaller braziers off the ship, and tosses like some incense into it, kind of like warm the area and give it a pleasant scent, and like say some nice things to the shades about calming and going someplace to rest, something along those lines. If only your darned gates of death weren't shattered. But it's enough to like draw their attention, but it's certainly probably not enough to settle them. And it's kind of that, they're ghosts and they reach for you and they kind of like pass through you, and it's like it's unsettling, and it's like I don't feel right inside anymore with all these hands like grasping as we go past, kind of deal.
And you actually, as you all are walking, you see a familiar face. You see the face of Nakarkis. And as you're making these, offerings and trying to appease these shades, you see once more as Nakarkis reaches out and grabs your arm and looks at you. And you hear him once again say, "The gloom of death is on the raven's wing. The song of death is in the raven's cries. But when Demophilius begins to sing, the raven dies." And it's a poem that he had recited to you a few times. And he leans in. It's almost a whisper you hear on your shoulder, and then you feel the icy hand kind of let go, and he fades back into the mists with the other shades. Makaria.
Makaria tried to walk forth, trying to bring light to this place that doesn't seem to have it much, to kind of guide the shades back. So when she casts this ball of light, it doesn't give off that much. It's very still like close to her, almost making the shadows larger and scarier to a degree, because of the way that the dim light casts against these shades.
Right. Yeah, and I think as you're moving, you also see kind of some familiar faces. You see, I think Makaria sees perhaps like it, almost maybe it's not right, but perhaps her husband and other people that she's lost, her father, and then also you see Despina, who seems to have found her way here, unfortunately. And they all just kind of regard you, and I think it just kind of makes you sad more than anything, just to see them all here, because they look lost and filled with despair, and like they definitely don't want to be here, you know.
I'll kind of say to the group, why are they here and not in Asphodel or Elysium?
Is
This
there
is
ghosts?
wrong. No, this is very wrong.
I don't know.
And that instinct, that you know that instinct is correct. Something is wrong here. These shades should not be here. You all prevented, the gates of the underworld from being broken. The opening was sealed. There's definitely something else at work here. And as you move forward, eventually you reach. Let's see. Okay, yeah. You hear as you reach the top of the hill, the cries of your crew. As they are on the ship, but they seem to be just overcome with fear at all of the shades of the dead. And it seems as though they are mere moments from fleeing with the ship. And you know that surely if they do this, they will be lost to the mists. And you may not have another way off the island. And so, in this case, this will be a contest of arts and oration to instill your crew with the spirit required to wait for your return.
Farsighted and shadow-wise Xenon will take up this challenge.
Okay, excellent. Let me get the news. Okay, just a 9 this time. Just a 9, a little better.
Yep.
It's still, well, hold on. It won't be perilous. Well, yeah, no, it won't be perilous, but yeah,
Okay.
I can't. That's the only thing that's different.
Okay, good. This is fine. This is
but
fine.
Yeah. The arrival phase on this island is pretty like there's 3 things that you have to deal with, and then you get to kind of look around and catch your breath. But this is very much like, hey, you're here. It's bad things. It's all bad. Just all bad.
Yep.
The Boulder-like Hilarion will take up this challenge.
Many-Wayed Phaedras will take up the challenge.
Iron-minded and blessed conjurer Makaria will take up this challenge.
Excellent. All right. I'll test your fate.
Cancel.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good. That's good to know. You just need 1 to keep from losing your ship. Just 1, so that's good.
Oh shit,
wow.
David. But we got
Alright.
2 at least.
Oh my god, 2 8s. Nice.
Oh, and
We got
tied
3
Phaedras.
successes.
Yeah.
All right.
So the boat is staying put.
The boat is
Yeah.
staying put. Who are we missing? Are we missing
Mike has
Hilarion?
Hilarion. Yeah.
Yep.
Larry.
Yeah, I put the wrong thing and almost messed that up. So one second, I got to do it over again.
Yeah, I initially had forgotten to do both my epithets.
Okay.
Oh shit!
Wow,
Oh,
y'all.
Okay. Where
We
was
feel
that-
strongly about
Where
this.
was that
Yeah.
energy?
You know what?
What was that energy?
We've already lost 1 boat. We're not going to lose a second.
That's right. That's right.
Please no.
Right now, you have a net gain and loss of 0 boats, and you
Yeah.
do not want that to go into the negative.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so
How have we lost 4 boats? I don't understand this math. That's
so between Phaedras and Makaria, who would like to go first and explain sort of what you contribute to this, sealing of the crew? At this point, you all are standing atop the hill and calling down to your crew to try to steal their spirits, and your words echo across the island as it is surprisingly quiet here, other than the sort of low wailing that you can hear coming from inside the manor behind you.
I can go first. I think Makaria has a lifts her voice, but is calm and explains to the crew to remain calm, to continue doing their tasks upon the ship. That while the shades are frightening, things will be okay. Shades, in a way, she talks about how it's common to be with shades, that it's okay. But part that she survived being around shades.
Yeah, I think Makaria's stories. I think maybe Makaria even adds in a few stories of like her time in the underworld and like the kindly shades that she met. And while these shades are not as kind, they're still just people, you know. And I think that does give the crew a bit like it changes the way they're interacting with the shades, which I think does improve the situation. Because before they were very frightful and they were trying to push them away and fight them, but I think now they're more looking at them with sort of pity and giving them sort of respect and kind of lamenting their position. I think the shades react to that in a way that is beneficial. Phaedras.
Yes, Phaedras will call down at them and remind them there's only one ship and we can't abandon one another now. We will only get home as one crew. And that's the only way we survive, even if it's just sitting down there, right? Like we can't split her. Gotta keep together, hold the shield wall, right?
Yeah, and
come on, team.
I think with that call, Archelaus and Scythia both sort of start yelling at their respective kind of halves of the crew and sort of taking leadership as they themselves have kind of steeled themselves, which goes a long way. Okay, so who's won the roll off here? All right, so next
Hilarion.
up is Xenon.
Yeah, so Xenon in after hearing both of my compatriots give their points, and we can see that the crew is coming around. Xenon will appeal to their appeal to their aspirations, and will call down upon them and say, and remember that all of us here will be remembered for eternity. And what matters now is how we will be remembered. Will you be remembered as the crew who sailed with, Phaedros and Hilarion and Makaria and Xenon? Or will you be remembered as those who abandoned them?
Right.
Surely it is best to be known as those who have sailed victoriously with us, gird your loins, steel your hearts, and, remain, kind of thing.
Yeah. And now I think the crew is they're on the ship now fully. They've been kind of milling about, and they have retreated to the ship, but they don't look as though they are about to leave or anything at this point. But Hilarion, how do you help them steal their resolve, and commit to staying here no matter what may come?
Hilarion would stand there on the hillside, look down at them, say, "My friends, my compatriots, my friends here have explained to you why it's good for you to stay and hold fast and resolve against these spirits. As usual, I will take another path. So help me gods. If I see that sail raise an inch, if a single oar goes into the water, my father Ares will quail at what I do to you. I will spend every bond I have with every god to get to you. If you leave me on this island, I will find you find you.
I will roll to you.
And even your whisper carries over the island, and you can see as the crew, some of them it still looked maybe a little like, okay, we'll stay for now, but like, once they're in that manor house, they can't see it. But you see them, they were holding ropes and they just dropped them because they believe you. They absolutely do. And you can see as Archelaus and Scythia go around the ship, kind of giving people things to do to keep them busy so that, they don't focus so much and that they, have. It should take them enough time for you to finish your business here on this island, and then they can leave and they'll be happy with that. But yes, well done. So make sure everybody's marking their glory and all that kind of stuff. It's like our fourth island, but
we know the glory methods now.
Okay, that's good.
The system here.
Well, it's easy to forget, because you get all caught up in it. Yeah. And so now, having averted this catastrophe that you could hear happening at the docks, you can now turn and focus on the house before you. You can see that this is a sort of a nice sort of villa, like manor house, spread out. But the thing that catches your attention the most is that it is completely wreathed and encased in these gently swaying blue flames. And these flames create almost a wall around this manor. And so, how would you all like to navigate this? You need to get into the manor house because that is where the wailing is coming from, and that is surely where the source of strife on this island originates from. But how would you like to handle this? Are you all just going to, stride right through it as though it cannot harm you, or perhaps seek another path?
Okay, so hear me out. I have an idea. This might seem like it may come out of left field, but I think that maybe the blue flames on the house are a sign from a god that we should set it on fire from out here. Like maybe it's saying like you should put this on fire.
I'm not sure that I'm connecting those dots, Hilarion, but do continue. I'm interested in where this goes.
So maybe we should just stay here and throw torches at it.
Do you give that a try?
I don't think
Just
that
give it
will
a shot.
solve the problem.
I don't think that we give that a try. I think that Xenon would stop him from trying.
So
Agreed.
if you wanna, like, I'll give it to you for free. If you throw a torch at it, the torch is just consumed in the blue flames. It does not even pass through them.
Yeah, Xenon is going to study this problem, and Xenon believes that he has a method to create a gap in the flames.
Okay. So kind of what we're trying to decide here is what sort of contest this is, as you all sort of approach this. So if the idea is to try to find some way to circumnavigate it or, find your way around it or something like that, then that will be craft and reason. Or if you want to sort of steel yourselves and just stride through, that's more of a resolve and spirit.
I'd like to point out that the last time I suggested that we just charge through there, nobody listened, and we almost lost the boat.
We were almost going to lose the boat anyways.
That's true.
We all need to do the same thing, or can we try different things together?
I don't really see a problem with you guys kind of splitting your thing. Yeah, I'll make this one. Well, okay, so the problem is that the contests, depending on what you choose, are against two different sort of things. Yeah, so if you try to go through the blue flames, you must complete a contest of resolve and spirit against the blue flame itself. But with craft and reason, you are actually facing someone else that you all haven't really met yet. And so
I would like to do resolve and spirit.
okay, what thinks Phaedros?
Phaedras would prefer resolve and spirit as well.
Okay.
Resolve and spirit team.
All right.
I'm going to spend my Phaedra bond to change that.
Okay.
So boom.
All right. Craft and
down.
reason it is.
Damn, son, we just got played. I can't even do anything.
You can do stuff. You can assist me.
So,
as you called me to assist you, I now call upon you to assist me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Good for the goose, good for the gander.
And Wednesdays are going to get real interesting real quick. That's
No bleed through. No bleed through.
Yeah.
What happens in that game stays in that game. It gets resolved in that game.
I'm just building stuff up so that I
No
can just
meta,
take
no
David
meta.
out at one point. He's killed a couple of my characters.
okay. So I think, well, okay. I have to make sure I'm doing this right so that all the right things. I want to make sure it rolls right. So it's a D. Okay. So this contest is craft and reason. Yes. This contest, your target number is 9. Oh, I forgot to click the thing. That's not good. I'm gonna have to re-roll this, guys.
Re-roll it.
I do have to.
Is it
do
still
that, but
perilous?
I'll give you the 9
Okay.
probably, even though I'm adding a larger die to this, but
Oh, just give us the new roll, Ethan. It's fine.
I forgot to click the right thing. These character sheets are lovely and they have everything in them, but if you have to remember to click the things.
Yes.
For them to do
Perilous
them.
though?
Okay.
It is
Oh,
both
it's-
perilous and mythic.
Oh, it's mythic.
I
Oh,
take it back.
Sweet. There are gods watching this.
Not so mythic doesn't always necessarily mean that a god is watching. Mythic can also just be creatures of myth that
Oh.
sort of have this sort of divine aspect to them. And as you look at these flames are sort of divine in nature.
Got it.
And you're not sure why they encircle this house like this, but there seems to be something going on here.
Which means that we have to burn a divine favor, but we don't get to use it as part of our roll.
That's right. You have to burn a divine favor to take part in the contest. And then if you suffer, you will have to mark a pathos. And remember, if you have no divine favor to mark, you mark a fate.
Oh wow.
Not a pathos, but a fate.
Oh wow.
So if we want to support someone, we get to choose what die to give them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. A far-sighted, shadow-wise Xenon will take up this challenge.
Excellent.
We'll spend a favor with Zeus.
Makaria is taking this challenge.
All right.
Phaedras will support Xenon, and I will give you my craft and reason die. Have all D6 of it. Look.
D6. Awesome. Thank you. I'll take it.
That feels intentional. I like it.
It does. It does feel intentional, and I'm here for it.
Hilarion will support Makaria.
Okay.
And he will give her his whole D6 of craft and reason.
All right. This is good. This is how we win.
Here you go. Have the smallest unit of support, everybody. That's like.
Okay, great, excellent. We have
Sweet,
at least
okay.
one success.
Then I don't have to spend so much stuff.
Hey now. Hey now. This isn't Blades, but the rules.
true,
Don't
it's
be
true,
don't
it's
be
true.
a
No,
don't be a
don't-
weasel. Don't be a weasel applies
You're
to
right,
all
you're right.
games.
You're right. I was planning on spending a divine favor, so I'll do it anyway.
Unless you're playing as a weasel, in which case. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Why you even
wasn't-
step in?
I wasn't going to spend it, and then Ethan talked me back into it. It's like, that's fair. I was gonna
Okay,
do.
well, you
I
get
was
all
gonna
the
spend
good.
some of Apollo's knowledge.
You get the good roll. Okay. So Makaria,
Mm.
how do you try to approach sort of navigating these blue flames?
So they're kind of just ensnaring the house, or floating
They surround
along,
it.
or
They not only do they surround it, they seem to be like almost like superimposed on the house. Like they're like these ghostly flames that kind of, you feel like they would be inside the house as well, even if you walk through them. But yeah, they're strange in nature. And Makaria, they give you recognize something about this, but you can't quite put your finger on it yet.
Okay. Makaria watches the flames for a long time, and flames flicker. They go back and forth, and so she watches until she is confident that she can pass in those in between spaces on smooth rocks. And before she steps forth, she resolves herself and casts kind of a protection spell on herself. Should the blue flames touch her, she should be protected from them. But for the most part, she's able to navigate them from her having watched how they react.
Yeah, and being a conjurer, you sort of conjure this almost like a shield, and it seems to kind of interact with the flames in an interesting way, almost like perhaps the source of these is similar.
Okay.
You know, sort of where you're drawing these conjurings from and where the flames themselves come from. All right, so that brings us to Shadowwise and Farsighted Xenon.
So, yeah, Xenon in taking careful study of the source of the flames and their behavior and the way that they interact with, wooden objects, natural objects, that sort of thing. Xenon, calling upon the wisdom and knowledge of Apollo, devises a machination to split the flame with a large blade of granite stone that he and who is it that's helping? I think it was Phaedros. Phaedros and I lift up out of the ground and use it to make kind of an angled approach where there's an area where the flame does not burn you. It's uncomfortable getting through, but you can make it through the barrier without being harmed.
Excellent. And so with that, you all are able to traverse the flames in one manner or another, and to make your way into this house. After you've passed through kind of this outer, this sort of outer shell of flame, you can see that like kind of their essence is still there, right? You can catch it sometimes, these small tongues of blue flame that just kind of appear in the air next to you, but once you are through, you don't feel like you're going to be burned. And that, these flames are definitely magical in nature, and don't really follow the rules of flame. They don't behave quite right. But yeah, after that, you make it within. And so as you are sort of traversing the house, it is dark and ominous, and you hear strange sounds echoing about. And as you sort of make your way through, you'll see a door on one side, and you'll kind of turn away to look down another hallway, and then return your gaze to the door to find that it is gone. And then return your gaze to the hallway to find that it is moved. And this place seems to be shifting and changing and intentionally trying to confuse you to keep you from sort of finding its center and finding what lies within. And so you are trying to follow the source of this weeping that sort of echoes throughout the house. But in order to do so, you will have to sort of outwit the house itself. And so who would like to take up a contest of craft and reason in order to traverse this house? Okay, we got Phaedras
Phaedros will
and
take up
Xenon.
that challenge.
All right, let me roll that up.
Oh wait, you said craft and reason?
Yeah, it will be craft and reason, yes.
I'm so sorry. We get bonds when people.
When you support them, yes. Also, I forgot to mention, you all have a bond with the sailors of your crew. You can just say the crew and then mark a bond. Then you can call on that later on. I don't know what kind of die that would be. It doesn't really say, but you do get a bond with the sailors.
I will offer my resolve in spirit and protection to Xenon.
Okay.
We'll absolutely take up this challenge to piece together the mystery of this house.
Yeah, this island is very interesting. It's very like you don't really have time to look around because everything is just so bad and so weird.
Right.
It's like there will come a time when there are decisions to be made. You have to actually figure out what's going on first. So, and this isn't even. We've moved on to the trial section.
Oh.
We are now in the trial. You've arrived. You've made it to the house, but now it's like you're directly. There's no way to avoid these trials or to choose to do them or not, and so it just kind of happens.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's kind of intense. It's kind of almost like a boss rush kind of deal to get there, and then there's the battle, right? But the idea is to spend a lot of stuff. So this one, your target number is 12 again. This one is not mythic; it is only perilous.
Okay.
As you have sort of traversed the flames that were making the previous contest mythic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is what again?
Craft and reason. Because this house is actively trying to deceive you and trick you and get you turned around and make sure that you cannot find what lies within.
Hilarion will take up this challenge of craft and reason.
That is okay. It's very good. I'm glad.
Awesome.
I'm very excited to see Hilarion be extremely crafty.
Awesome.
Phaedra sees his way through.
Oh, I had Makaria. Did I have your support?
Yeah, one. It was a D10.
Okay.
And resolve in spirit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Remind me, I can spend a bond with someone to have them help me.
Yeah, they'll give you their name die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makaria, what's your name die?
It's a D8.
I went to the store yesterday, and they were out of Coke, and so I have Pepsi, which is fine. I like Pepsi, but it's different. It has a different flavor profile. Yeah, it's a different flavor profile.
All I wanted was a
Okay.
Pepsi.
So we'll start with Boulder like Hilarion. So this contest was, I believe, perilous. So make sure you mark a pathos for suffering during this contest.
Yep.
What does Hilarion do, and how does it not quite serve him as he would wish?
See, Hilarion, he knows you're gonna be crafty. It's fine. He can be crafty, but he's against a house. The house can't be that small. I mean, let's be serious. But still, it's a tricksy house.
Yeah.
So he checks with Makaria, and he's like, "All right, so which way do you think we should go?" And she kind of points that general direction. We go that way until we hit a wall, and then Hilarion just starts swinging at that wall. I mean, he's got a big club. We'll just go this way.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I mean, if it's a house that can keep us trapped, maybe it has a way around that. That it just, you just keep. Now we're in a loop. Or just keep going, and yeah.
I think as you attack the structure of this house, those blue flames kind of flare up around you, and all of a sudden they are present. And I think that is where your sort of pathos comes from that you must mark, like your harm comes from, sort of anytime you act aggressively within this home, the flames find you and they burn you. But other than that, they're away.
Oh, well, in that case, there's a definite stop, drop, and roll in the middle of the hallway.
Stop, drop, and roll to put out the blue flames.
Yeah.
Hilarion is not like blue fire. It's not good. Probably burns food. It's not good. We don't like it.
Right. But you do notice that, having put that little dent in the wall, it remains, and you see it several more times as you were trying to traverse this house.
Oh, good.
So there are it is persistent. It's not this ever change. Like there are components of this house, and I think maybe that gives a little bit of insight to Xenon, who prevails and helps you all sort of navigate this.
Yeah, I think that Xenon puts together that that the house is actively shifting against us, and through Makaria's assistance, is able to um, uh, play the house's game and trick the house into moving a wall for Makaria to block Makaria, but that allows us to push through. Once it's realized its mistake, it moves again, and we were all joined yet again. So there was this moment where we were separated, and there was real tension of, is the house going to keep us apart? But in understanding the way that the walls are moving, the way that the rooms are twisting and shifting on the foundation, we have figured out a way to progress deeper into the home. And I got to a certain point where we're now able to see into rooms that we weren't able to see into before. But that is where Xenon's cleverness ran out.
Yeah. And you find that as you're moving, this hallways literally twist. And it's very much like they are twisting, and you keep walking, and like it's very much one of those almost like MC Escher kind of like non-Euclidean architecture, where you're like walking on the ceiling, and then you walk into a room and it's upside down. It's like all of those things that nobody wants to happen in a spooky house are happening, and you're walking upstairs and seeing your friends walking downstairs above you. It's very, very difficult to sort of parse, but you are making progress. And
and I think that to pull on the epithet just a little bit, one of Xenon's tricks is to note the directions of shadows relative to light sources, and that they don't immediately match up, but where you find that they are matching up, that is real.
Right.
That is something you can bank on.
Yeah.
And so so Xenon is marking where the house is intentionally visually lying to us.
Yeah. And Phaedras, how do you guide the group into, how do you find the source of this weeping?
So Phaedros, having seen Xenon's like there's definitely it's playing tricks on us. There's a way that we can figure out what's going on. Phaedros spent Pathos to tap on Resolve and Spirit.
Yes.
And I think there's a moment where it's like that camera's there, and like Phaedros is like, so how do we get a step ahead of it? And then like the camera shifts another direction, and you have that shade of Nakarkus there, kind of like behind his shoulder, to like kind of like whisper in his ear to try to help answer that question, like how do we get ahead of it screwing with us?
Right.
And that's probably something that's not a direct answer, but is enough for us to go on, kind of like figure it out after a point.
Yeah, I think maybe
making more direct progress towards getting somewhere here.
Yeah, and I think calling on this shade of Nakarkus, like, it's kind of one of those things where you feel the hands kind of on your shoulders, and you hear whispers. You can't quite understand what they're saying, but as you keep hearing them, you keep seeing new possibilities and ways you can go. And I think sort of guided by this spirit that's almost like leading you along, like you can feel kind of its force pushing you as you're traversing the halls. I think eventually you find your way into the central sanctum of this home.
That's
protective and unsettling at the same time. So that's what I was after.
Yeah,
good.
It's
good.
Great.
Glad you two are happy.
So you all find, once you reach sort of the center of this home, you walk into the central chamber, and in the middle there is sort of a raised dais, and you can see these blue flames are brighter than they have been even outside the home, and you can hear now this weeping is very, very it's loud, like, and you can hear it, and it's coming from in the center of these flames, and you can see the silhouette of what looks like a woman who is sort of approaches the edge of the flames, and you can see now that this is not a mortal woman, this is a dryad. And you can see that sort of her. We'll establish. I'm going to make up my own mythology here. The sort of her skin is sort of wood like. It kind of almost looks like she was carved from wood herself. And you can see that she carries this staff that has like a big metal. It looks like a large torch, but you see that the flame that would normally sit atop it is not, and is instead surrounding her. And she looks sorrowful and sort of overwhelmed, and she looks at you all, but then and looks as though she wants to speak with you, but then almost thinks better of it, and kind of sits down and begins to weep again. You all would know by just your knowledge of the myths and legends of this world that this must be Orphny, the torchbearer of Hades. And Makaria, you remember why all of this has been a little bit familiar, because you have seen Orphny before, but perhaps only from a distance. But you know that Orphny carries Phobos, the blue flame, and this is a sacred flame of the Underworld. And yeah, so you all are in this room. Orphny seems despondent, and it will probably take a contest of arts and oration in order to lift her spirits enough for her to try to help you and to speak with you.
You said she kneeled down, or she sat back down, or
she kind of sat down, and kind of has her arms kind of crossed. The torch is kind of laying across over to the side, and her head is kind of on her arms, and you can just hear kind of her soft weeping.
I would sit down in front of her, crossing my staff over my legs similarly. And I mean, if we're gonna do an arts and oration roll, then
let me go ahead and do that. So this is arts and oration against. Okay, let me scroll back down here. Against Orphny. Great. Okay, let me get this. Let me unclick things. Let me click new things. And give us a thing. So this contest, let's see. Arts and oration. Your target number is 10, and this contest is sacred, because Orphny being the sacred torchbearer of Hades, meaning that if you suffer, you will lose a divine favor. But only if you suffer. Right? It's like Perilous, but with divine favor instead of pathos. Sweet. Yeah. She's dutiful, distant, and sad. Are kind of her descriptors here.
Xenon will take up this challenge.
If I may, what is the reason? Do we know the myth of the reason why she's here?
You don't know why she's here. She's not supposed to be here. She carries like the sacred flame of Hades. She carries Phobos, the blue flame, and is meant to kind of light the way for spirits at times, to sort of guide them. And it seems, just as you're kind of taking in the situation, it seems that is perhaps why there are so many shades here, is because they've been drawn to these blue flames that are much larger than they should be, and kind of make this island almost a beacon to the dead. And has kind of pulled them, and there's still something missing here, for sure. Makaria, I would like to give you an advantage die on this one, because I think that's just appropriate given Makaria's background. Having, dwelled in the underworld for a time and being much more familiar with these types of things, I think like we'll say just a D8 advantage die.
Okay.
Hilarion will take up this challenge of arts and oration.
If anybody can cheer somebody up, it's Hilarion, right?
Phaedras will as well.
Excellent. All right.
Phaedras is what?
Phaedras is going to do it as well.
So everybody's in.
Yep. Everybody's in.
Everybody into the pool. Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So far, so good.
It's so nerve wracking. It's like, is this good enough? Do I press the button now, or do I load up more stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because those divine favor, man.
Yeah, that was the thing. I think that was something they talked about in the AMA about like the design of this game. Is that like originally you could apply things after your roll to improve it,
Right.
and that just. And I think the thing was, it's a lot more satisfying to kind of risk it and put everything on the front, you
Right.
know, than like, oh,
Hey.
well, you're best. Well, I want to be best, so I'm going to add a
Right.
divine favor now to take
Right.
away your being best. And yeah,
Right.
which that was a good call. I think that makes sense. Excellent. So everyone prevails, so no one has to give up their precious, precious divine favor.
Word.
Because I can guarantee you that there's more mythic contests in your future, whether you want them or not. So we'll start with Hilarion. How does Hilarion begin to lift Orphany's spirits?
Hilarion. So Hilarion's initial instinct is to go, pat, pat, it'll be okay.
Right.
But there's blue flame. So you actually see him like go, oh yeah, fire. And then he's kind of awkward and he's like, look, it's fine. Look, we're friends. We came up here from this horrible, whatchamacallit, and all this thing, and we got through the burning blue flames, and we came out here, and we're friends. We just want to talk. Look, we're friends. And he grabs Makaria because I spent a bond with her. And see, you probably know her. She's from Hades. Like she's from the Underworld. She's like a friend of yours, right? Don't you recognize your old friend Makaria? Here.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
like the
that-
you're from Canada of Hades.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. That brings us to Phaedras.
Phaedros. Phaedros will probably take a knee in front of her, and say she shouldn't be sad. She's a great and powerful being. She holds such an important position in doing her job for Hades, and that there's a great many shades here that have come to see you, and they need your guidance to get to where they're supposed to go.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
do your job.
Right. Yeah. And I think
They're
she.
counting on you.
Yeah, and I think she looks up and she looks resolute for a moment, but then also looks like even more sorrowful for a moment, because that is definitely something that she is very conscious of. But she's but at the same time she's like, no, I shouldn't give up. You're right. It's not, just because I failed doesn't mean I have to continue failing, right? And so that brings us to Xenon.
Before I spin my tail here, talk to me about retrieving great deeds and trophies.
So if you work them into a contest, you can uncheck them. Basically, is like if you prevail on a contest. Sometimes the wording's a bit ambiguous about whether you have to specifically, like that is the specific point of the contest, or if you can just kind of take advantage of a contest.
Got it.
I'm not really sure where I sit on that, but if there's one that you really want to get back in this moment, I think that's depending on what it is. I think we can talk about it.
Yeah, sure. So I'll spin my tail and you tell me if I get Demeter's Lotus back or not.
Okay.
So Xenon, Shadow Wise, Farsighted Xenon. will be in this room and kind of watch how things are going, see that she is rousable. She can be she can be taken out of her state of morose, and he'll begin to talk about his mother Demeter, and that she has provided for us as a group, and certainly for me as a beacon of hope, and as a place of comfort and resolve, and that I take comfort in that Demeter's love of the forests and of the trees is equal to her love of the farms, and that her guidance in the world is to create life in places where life has fallen away, and that it is my belief that she in some way guided us here to sit with you and to find a path where this island could know life once again, and that I will sit here and listen for as long as is needed for you to have that comfort and that calling to do so. And if at all possible, I would like for there to be a root, some sort of like tree root or something like that is in this room, maybe attached to the dryad or has sprung forth from her in her state, and like a little lotus comes up.
I think what happens is that there's like a reflecting pool around this dais, because it's like the central. This is supposed to be a very central, like very fancy, like receiving chamber where everyone kind of mills about and socializes and whatnot.
Sure.
And I think there's like a reflecting pool, and I think there were some like dying, like lotuses and flowers and things just in the water.
Got it.
Around this flame. And I think like as you speak, they start to sort of perk up. And your words sort of speak like life into these plants. And you can see that one of them does take on the very familiar like coloration and flower of Demeter's lotus that you had plucked from the sea before. And sure, I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I say that since he succeeded, but was not the highest, Hilarion isn't really going to let this go. I think he sits there and thinks, and as everyone tells their tales to try to cheer her up, he occasionally interjects with a bad torch joke, because that's Hilarion.
Yeah.
So you can see him over there actively thinking of torch jokes or dryad jokes or whatever else, and just interjects them at random.
There's a moment he's like, flame on. Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Flame on. Yeah. Oh, sick. Yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible, Hilarion.
Well, last and best, we have Makaria.
Makaria has sat down in front of her, and after everyone has spoken, and she reaches out and gently touches her leg, conjuring a spell of warmth and care, like just emotions of comfort, as she quietly speaks with her, asking her of her troubles, how she has come to be here, and that we are here to help and protect and do what must be done to get you back on the right path and get these souls back on the right path, so they can go home and you can go home.
And I think she's surprised when you sort of reach through the flames to touch her, because she herself cannot traverse the flames being made. And you see now that she is. Dryads take many forms because often they are, tied to a tree or something or some, natural phenomenon. But Orphny is different because she is the torchbearer of Hades. So she has a job, and you know that her tree actually resides in the courtyard of the Palace of Hades. and her sort of wooden skin is pale and like white. Like this tree is just like it's like the size of an oak tree, but the bark is like a ghostly white, and it has these sort of like blood red kind of blooms that it gains throughout the year. It's not a real, it's a magic tree. I don't know anything about trees. But you can see like sort of in her hair there are these little blood red blooms, and you recognize her, and she recognizes you, and she kind of looks at you and she says, I remember you. You're the daughter of Lady Persephone, are you not?
I am. We've
Hmm.
met once or twice in our travels.
Okay, I think you all can help. And she kind of looks at you for a moment and kind of takes and like sees just how you reach through the flame. And the flames, they're hot, but this heat is also cold. And that's the thing that it took a few times of getting kind of like burnt by these to realize how like it burns, but that burning sensation is not of heat, but of intense cold.
Mhm.
Though things catch flame as they normally would, it is a cold flame that does like it's very interesting and otherworldly and all that kind of stuff.
You could say that I resolved to handle that.
That's right. Yeah. And she kind of tilts her torch up and uses it to kind of stand up. And she says, "Brave heroes, I have failed in my duty. I am meant to guide the souls of the lost and to also, in some ways, keep watch over portals to the underworld. And I have failed in that duty. I was deceived by a sorcerer by the name of Erastos, who now wanders the underworld unseen and unimpeded in, well, I know not exactly his aims, but I know the danger that he poses. And so I would ask for your help to bring him back here and hopefully defeat him, that I can help these souls back to where they belong. Is this something you all will be able to do?
He is mortal and able to pass through.
He's a powerful sorcerer. He created this home. He deceived me and used my dear friend Phobos against me, who even now prevents me from leaving this room. But he is also, I know not if it was already here or if he conjured it into existence, but there is a portal to the underworld nearby that is still open, and that is where many of the shades on this island have poured forth from. And he's found some way to use them and to bend them to his will.
Phaedras, we cannot allow this to continue.
It's like,
And
where is this portal? How do we find him?
yeah, let me see. I'm gonna double check and make sure there's not like a separate location. I kind of I'm of several minds on where I want to actually place it. So I'm trying to think. Did I not
take this opportunity as our break?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense because I feel like after you all deal with the portal, the battle will begin like immediately, right? Because you get the dude there, and then you got to kick his ass.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it's a good time, and I can do a little bit of a delving into the module. I actually found it exactly what I was looking for. But yeah, we'll come back in like 10.
Sure.
And yeah, we'll probably have a little bit of an early night tonight because I still don't think we could do a whole voyage phase, but we'll finish this island probably a little early.
Right on. All right, well, folks, we'll be back in 10 minutes at 9:30 or 30 minutes past the hour, wherever you live, unless you're one of those weird, funky time zones.
There's like 2 of them, right?
There's a couple. Yeah.
Odd. All right. See you all soon. Hey, everybody. We're
All
back.
right. Exciting.
Yeah. So, anything to talk about after the break, or are we just right back in it? This might be an early night, y'all.
Yeah, I think we're rolling, man.
I think this pace is what they intended when they made the islands.
Interesting.
Like,
See, I like us like jib jabbing, you know?
There's not a lot of opportunity to do that on this island, but there are definitely some islands I want to run for like the next few that'll be like mostly jib jabbing and then like a few contests. So yeah, there's both, right? But yeah. Anyways, you guys were like what, gonna go try to deal with a portal to the Underworld or something? Orphny will tell you all that the portal is located in a ritual site. It's in the central courtyard of the manor, and you can kind of see like the strange, like greenish blue light that's coming from that direction. And as you all sort of approach it, you can see that around it are arrayed all of these strange occult instruments. and it looks that actually this portal was torn open by whatever this magic is, which is not good for like just reality, but yeah. And you can see sort of you can see it's not really a, there's like one particular instrument that has almost like a tether coming from it, that you can see is probably the way that Erastos intends to return by. And so you have a few options here, but they sort of have different consequences and different problems. So you could always, partake in a contest of blood and valor against, because you can also see that these shades kind of periodically rise from this rift, and you've avoided their attention for now, but you will have to face them in order to find Erastos and bring him back to Earth, or you may instead rely on your resolve and spirit to seal the rift, sort of contesting against Erastos's arcane knowledge to undo what he has done. However, if you seal the rift, that would likely leave the dead trapped on this side. And so sort of what is your all's sort of preferred tact here?
You said there's a string.
There's sort of like a tether that you could follow, but it would take, if you commit to sort of undoing the ritual, that would be part of it, is like figuring out what to do with this tether and things like that. But yeah, you can either follow it to find Erastos and drag him back to the mortal world by force, or find some way to close this rift, perhaps trapping Erastos, perhaps bringing him back to the mortal world anyway, but definitely closing this rift, and you would have to find some other way to guide the dead back to the underworld, as they would have no doorway to traverse.
And just as a player knowledge thing, normally shades just end up in the underworld, and she guides them with the torch.
So
the fact that
normally
they're here,
they've been pulled here. This part of
okay.
this ritual is pulling them here and binding them here. But if you get rid of the door, that doesn't necessarily, they would be unbound, but that doesn't mean they could just immediately return. They would probably wander for some time, as like they've already paid to cross the river Styx. They've already paid to enter the underworld, and so they would have no way of paying that fare again or even finding it again.
And looking at the portal itself, can you see through the portal, or is it this like milky or opaque?
It's kind of like this jagged tear in the middle of all of these sort of implements, and it's got this kind of like greenish light to it, but you can't really see clearly what's on the other side without traversing it.
So our option here is to destroy the gates of death, and then the ghosts are trapped forever. It's okay. Very funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did that. Yeah.
But I feel like I know what the right answer is, and it's not that.
Yeah.
Because we played a whole game.
I agree.
Where that was the fallout.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. We have seen, the ghosts of too many people who we care for to, keep them from going on to the place they're supposed to be for their rest and reward.
Yeah, in that case, it looks like we are going to be having a contest of blood and valor versus the dead. The despairing, vengeful, and lost dead that sort of fight you every step of the way as you are trying to force your way through this portal, through these strange and twisting caverns of the underworld in order to find Erastos and bring him back to stop what he's doing. So I'll go ahead and roll strife here, blood and valor. It is a perilous contest with a target number of 11. Who will face this challenge?
Hilarion will face this challenge.
Of course.
Xenon will face this challenge.
Sorry, I will
Phaedra.
face this challenge.
Phaedras will too.
Awesome.
Excellent. My familiar has joined me for this
It's a
contest.
Vax. It's a
He's being such a doof. All right, yeah. Everyone, test your fate.
Not this time.
Is everybody still at a name die of a D8?
I am, yes.
I think so. A couple people might be close.
I'm close.
D10, but I don't know that anybody's quite reached that yet.
Does your name die go up to a D10? Oh, sorry.
It
Yeah,
can
that's
go
off the
up to a
glory
D12.
thing.
It
Yeah.
takes like I want to say
A
like
long, long
400
time, yeah.
and something
Yeah.
glory to get there. But yeah. Uh-oh.
God. Oh no, you too.
Okay, come on, guys. Figure it.
I mean, we're the resolving spirit, folk.
Okay, there we go.
Thank goodness.
Hilarion is gonna drag this man.
Oh!
Oh
Okay.
god, not again!
All right, roll it off. You gotta figure out who's best.
Oh my god.
There's no ties in T-ball.
Oh!
Again.
Not again! Roll 20.
Okay. All right. So Xenon will be best.
I think last time Hilarion was best, so this is tradesies.
Yeah, tradesies. So we will start with Phaedras. So the sort of what this contest is that you all are attempting to traverse this this sort of portal to the underworld, find Erastos, and bring him back by force. And the sort of shades of the dead are very much trying to impede you, and it seems that it is certainly not of their own will. You can see that instead of the sort of milky white vacant eyes that you would tend to see on a shade, these all have these gleaming green eyes, and they sort of attack you, which is also not typical for shades necessarily. It's all been quite strange, but yeah, what happens to Phaedras? Other than marking a pathos for suffering during a perilous contest.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's pathos for suffering.
Little bookkeeping there.
Just read in a little. You know, you got to fit it in naturally. You got to keep it.
He also
keep it
suffers. You
organic.
take one glory. Okay. Yeah, I think Phaedros is trying to like clear the way. He was trying to like, these things are spectral, but like still like, he's got spear and shields to try to drive them back and like, clear space, if not trying to actually like, fight individually.
Yeah.
And that only works until you're totally overwhelmed and people start grabbing hold of your spear and it doesn't move anymore.
Right.
So I think he was trying to help open up a path for everybody, and it only works up to a point. Like he clears part way, and then it's like gonna have to take another attack now,
right,
for everybody to get the rest of the way through this sword of shades.
Yeah, and your spear, as you're kind of swinging it and trying to use it, and your shield to kind of push them back, you can tell that it's not physically making any contact, but it's almost like their memories of being mortal are working against them here, as they do still try to avoid spear thrusts. But it's this realization that it's not hurting them that kind of keeps you from continuing to push them back, as they're like, no, I don't have to avoid these spear thrusts. Like, your weapons are doing nothing to me. And so they push back in that way. Yeah, so Makaria.
Can I use a bond to not have to take pathos?
Yes, you can actually. You can
Cool.
you can call in a bond to prevent harm, basically.
Sweet. I'm gonna call in a bond with Xenon, because Makaria is not as strong as the rest, and I think being so close to death once again is causing her to be weaker and weaker every time she uses that power. For the moment, And so she's being overwhelmed, and she calls out to Xenon for help, because she just seems to be kind of stumbling, like as they pull on her or get too close to her. And so it's a very frightened, fearful voice, because these shades are acting like nothing that she's seen
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Excellent. So now Hilarion. Hilarion makes some progress. Hilarion prevails.
Hilarion wants to know why his very dear friend Phaedras is doing his job. Like this is what I do. I clear the way. And now you're in my way. So
And I'm not even doing it right. Yeah.
he's like, now you're not doing it right. You're making my job harder. So Hilarion is he's just in there and he's just swinging, and then he's got to like stop and like check that swing, reach out, grab hold of Phaedros, move him back beside him, which probably is why Xenon is able to get ahead, because he had to stop and reset, And so he's just like a whirlwind of death, just of death. He's just a whirlwind into these ghosts, and then stop, reposition Phaedras, watch my back, and then zoom back on in again. Yeah, he's just so a whirlwind of punishment there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I like every time that hunk of star metal that's like attached to your club, like it makes contact with the shade, there's like this flash of light, and the shade gets like pushed back. And so I think with that as well, we see Hilarion just using his strength and also this crude kind of weapon he's fashioned, until you guys can do something else with the star metal, right? Is using that to push these shades back, which you all are traversing these tunnels. It doesn't look like the last time you saw the Underworld with this big open cavern. These are like tunnels that have been like almost hewn into the like material of the Underworld in order to sort of circumvent the pathways that one is supposed to travel. But you can see ahead, Xenon, a green light. And you see sort of this cloaked figure that is kind of using these arcane implements to just blast rock aside and to forge paths through here. And you can see Erastos ahead. So what does Xenon do?
Neat. So I think that in watching how everyone has rallied together and is fighting their way through these tunnels, and Xenon observes that every time there's this brilliant flash of light off of Hilarion's Star Metal Club, the shades cast no shadow from this eruption of light. But it seems the shades do have some sense of perception, because they recoil. They all recoil from this brilliant light. And so Xenon grabs Makaria, who's overwhelmed, and says, help me shine our shields. And Xenon and Makaria go about the business of polishing our 4 shields, and we make a very small, brilliantly sheened shield wall, such that the shades, when they look upon us, only see themselves, warped figures of themselves, but still just shades. As we make our way through the end of this hall, and farsighted Xenon keeps his eye on the green prize and does not get distracted by other paths away or any of that kind of stuff, and is able to use some craft and reason to find another way through this horde of shades.
Yeah. And I think as you approach Erastos from behind, as soon as you make contact with his form, it's like something about this ritual breaks. And you are all pulled back out of the portal. And back to the mortal world. It feels like almost like a bungee cord, right? Like Erastos was tethered, but now that his concentration has been broken, he loses sort of his footing in the underworld and is pulled back into sort of the mortal realm.
Wow. Real quick,
yeah.
That 11 stuff, that 11 on the thing does put me over to a D10 named die. Do I do that now, or is that
Yep, do it now.
next session? Okay.
Do it now. So go ahead and upgrade that. And remember, you go back all the way to 0.
Gross.
So mark all of your boxes and all of everything.
I dislike all of that.
Yeah. Well, you go back to 0, but then any you have left over still come in. Yeah. So if you have like 1 or 3, yeah. So you have 3 glory total, and you'll have to get all the way up to 200, I think.
240.
240, yeah, for the next one. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's possible. It's possible.
If I keep writing those letters home, it'll happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so you now all once again stand in this courtyard with these arcane implements strewn about. That tether is broken, and the sort of glass vial with this strange liquid in it has shattered. And you see Erastos standing before you. He has these dark green robes that he wears, and most of his face is sort of covered in shadow. And sort of as he looks up at you all, you can see that half of his face is almost spectral. As, you know, whatever he has been doing, he has been researching and trying to do something. But it has changed him permanently. And I have such a strong compulsion to do like a Skeletor voice here, but I'm not going to do. I'm gonna refrain. I refuse. Because that feels a little
do it.
a little kitschy. But he looks at you and he's like, "You fools! You interrupt my machinations within the underworld. You know not with whom you trifle. I am Erastos. I am the greatest sorcerer on this plane." Yeah, and he just kind of gives you one of those.
Then why do you walk the other plane?
Yeah, so this is always a problem. They give these very like smarmy, like very clever bad guys, and they all would monologue, but I'm not gonna monologue. But also the other option is like, "You would not understand what I seek," right? Which is just also lame. So there's a catch-22.
You can't expect to know what I want just because you're the child of a god. Like,
Right.
Never even heard of you.
Yeah, but he'll look at you and he'll say, "Power, of course. I seek the power over life and death. And as you can see, I have already gained some measure, but there is always more to learn." And
What did you say your name was?
Erastos is his name. But
No, I think Hilarion was actually asking.
He wouldn't answer that if you asked him. But yeah, so now that you have brought Erastos back, that brings us to the battle. And you guys have a couple of options here.
Straight into the fight.
Straight into
the. I mean, little...
there's no downtime on this one. Like it's like this is a bad situation. You need to fix it like now.
Yeah.
This needed to be fixed yesterday.
There's no opportunity for chewing furniture in this scenario.
Absolutely not. So you have a couple options here for the battle. The ones that the island kind of presents. The first is, will you bring Erastos to judgment? He is a powerful magician who will oppose you with arcane forces. Or will you return the dead to the underworld? The longer they are free, the more they remember their lives and seek to stay in the world of mortals. So those are kind of like your two main options. And yeah, so that's kind of the two things. Either way, Erastos is going to oppose you, right? But the question is, what is your primary focus? Like getting rid of him or making sure all the shades are sent back, which would weaken him enough that you could probably defeat him. So it's just, what is your focus? And I think that's going to sort of adjust kind of what kind of contests we're doing and things like that. But yeah,
This is the clash, or
we're going into the clash, but you kind of have to pick a path.
What are we
first.
fighting for?
Yeah, what do you?
My
shit.
instinct is to go for getting the shades back where they're
Same.
supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Do we have the split party again for every competition?
No, I mean, I'm not going to spend a bond on that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he would try to talk to them about, bringing back to justice. I mean, he's messing things up, but he's not devoted enough to the idea to spend a bond.
Right. And remember that sort of there's a bit of leeway here. I'm going to be sort of mixing options I have for threats because to kind of find the ones that I think are most interesting and most dynamic. So it's kind of a blended deal. And remember that if you win the Seas contest, you get to determine the stakes for everyone involved. So that includes Erastos, that includes the Shades, that includes everything, right? You get to pick sort of what will happen. So
that could be the climax is we get to open it up so the Shades get to go all back, and you end that by like smacking them with your big old hammer, and that closes it, right?
Yeah.
Like after everybody's gone.
Yeah,
Like,
right. You might use him as a arcane bottle stop, which would not be pleasant, but that's going to be sort of determined by you guys. So we're at the clash. So how are you guys approaching this initial sort of conflict against Erastos?
I hit him in the face with my club.
Yeah. So
we're shepherding the spirits back through.
Oh, right.
The open portal.
So yeah, there's that. Okay, I'm gonna say the clash. You can do that as your final goal. This is like if you want to just knock him the fuck out right now, so you don't have to deal with him during other phases, right? Like that could be your advantage, right? If you win the clash. If you don't, he gets an advantage, and like that sort of changes things. So kind of. There are steps to this, so there's like multiple things going on, and so if Erastos is something you want to deal with now, then that is also, you're still on the right path if you do that. Or you can kind of start shepherding the spirits now in the clash. It is just kind of up to you.
I think getting him out of the way so that we don't have to deal with him during other phases might be the best, hopefully.
I think that Hermes put a light out there and said, we should be daring. And I think it is daring to put up with this whole damn spooky island, but we should charge forward and just knock this jerk out.
Okay. Phaedras being the leader, do you agree with this? It sounds like we have a contest of blood and valor for our clash to deal with Erastos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Excellent.
Kind of lean that way.
Sweet. So this is gonna have a lot of modifiers on it, guys.
Then I take it back.
We chose the path. It was gonna have a lot of modifiers.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, y'all.
Well, I think maybe I don't know.
It's a lot of small dice, though, right? Like
I'm not 100% sure how this how the sheet actually works when I click on things. I think roll strife is just for the one character. Okay, so I think I just do the one character at a time. I don't think I can do multiple characters. So we're gonna say that you're just facing Erastos here. Is this? Let me look at my strife player sheet. Yeah, I think this is a good time to do that. Perfect. This will be fun. So let's see.
Oh, Ethan.
So you are facing in a contest of blood and valor Erastos the magician. He is well learned, defiant, obsessed, and practices necromancy.
Oh, good.
Of course. So let's roll this up. Target number 10. Okay, that's a little disappointing considering all the things that were in there, but it happens. But yeah, so Erastos, as you all sort of make aggressive motion towards him, you can see as he raises a hand, and from the room where Orphny is, the blue flames that surround her, part of them kind of break off and sort of cover his arm as he sort of catches it, and he is not only wielding his own magical abilities, but also the blue flame Phobos as well. Which makes this contest mythic. So we got another mythic in here.
That's not good.
And in addition, you can see that in his other hand, this sort of crackling green energy, you can see a shade start to kind of come to him and aid him in battle as well. As he is commanding a tremendous amount of arcane power. And you can see, like, as he does this, as he's channeling all this power, like parts of his sort of skin start to flay away. You can see almost like a skeletal form beneath. He's not full Skeletor yet. We're working there.
Christ,
Like,
like, come on.
"Ha-ha, you didn't know I was a necromancer." Very, yeah,
I love that voice, Ethan. I love it.
very, very good. But yeah, so this is mythic and perilous. Target number's only 10. So there you go. It doesn't matter how many d10s I rolled on my strafe roll. It's still the highest thing I rolled was a 5.
Makaria is going to take up this challenge.
Excellent.
She's also going to call on her Bond of Zeus.
Oh, okay. I forgot one other thing. As he is sort of channeling this magic, you hear the sound in the distance of a hammer against an anvil.
Shit.
And it picks up in speed, and as it does, you start to see as like some metal components that are sort of laying around, these arcane components kind of are pulled into some of the shades, sort of fortifying their strength as the wrath of Hephaestus is manifested as well.
I guess Hephaestus is here.
Still only a 10 though. I threw so many dice.
Hilarion will definitely take up this challenge.
Excellent.
Phaedras will take up this challenge.
And because it's mythic, we have to spend.
You have to spend a divine favor if you
to
can't.
participate.
Yeah, if you ever have to mark a divine favor and you can't, you mark a fate.
Okay.
I believe.
I think my Zeus die was a 10.
That's
Sweet.
good.
Oh
That
my
helps.
god, look at that 19.
Such a big number.
That is awesome.
So high over 10. That's so much. That's way more than so much.
Makaria's
you
pissed.
rolled a 9 and a 10, yeah.
Makaria's
The dice agree with you that you were pissed. Okay, so 13, that's good. 12, great. And 14, excellent. You've solved my necromancer puzzle. Well, not quite, right? There's still a lot of bad things that can happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will start with Phaedros. Shade touched and mini-wade Phaedros. Well, this is the superhero beatdown, right? Everybody's like taking their turns, like beating the hell out of this guy, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think Phaedra starts out as like the simplest, most common response, and that is Phaedra's shield and spear, like going nuts, like fighting this guy, trying to get him to a standstill, knocking him down, and trying to get him to keep from moving around.
Yeah.
Like, just because you said something, it's like there's definitely a moment where like I hurl the shield and hit him, and then catch it on the rebound.
Yes.
Like, just
Perfect.
of course.
like you do.
Yeah, and like as Phaedros, as you're beating him back, he like at times will lose his footing, and then you can see that like he's not quite actually touching the ground at times, that he's sort of floating now. And with like each of these hits, more of his like mortal form kind of fades away, as he's having to rely more and more on his arcane abilities to sustain him, because wizards are like just dudes without the magic, right? So these things have effects. Excellent. That brings us to Xenon.
Yeah, so Farsighted Xenon in Shadowwide Xenon is going to do some similar things that he was doing earlier. He's going to try and manage these shades and make it so that he can't really bring them to bear. And the primary way I'm going to do that is having my shield ready to bounce the I assume that Hilarion is going to be swinging his club around,
Right.
and that we're going to see some similar brilliant flashes of light. And so I'm going to be using my shield to reflect that light back onto these shades, and just cause them to slow up and reel in discomfort
Yeah.
from
And the more they
Hilarion's impacts.
right, and the more they see that light, the sort of weaker that green light in their eyes gets,
Cool.
as it's like almost like pushing his influence out of them.
Neat.
And you see as some of them like retreat into the portal, kind of like falling backwards. All right, Hilarion.
I think it's no surprise to anyone that Hilarion's going to be swinging that club around.
Right.
However, he believes that at this point in time, we are far enough along in this thing that it is time to give a lesson to this fellow. Ooh, I'm a great and powerful sorcerer. Oh no. Hilarion threw in some pathos so that he could have some arts and oration. And with every swing, it's defender of the divine, the boulder. Like we're not just I'm the great and powerful sorcerer. Haven't you ever heard of me? No, he is shouting out all deeds, all everything. Like, no, you are not up against scrubs here, buddy. This is the age.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and you push him back, and you're also like with your swings, you're just batting aside just droves of shades, as now they are pouring in from all over the island, trying to sort of oppose you all at his at Erastos's call. And you even see at one point the shade of Timios that is emaciated and thin and near skeletal with these long, like claw-like hands. But as you bat him aside, you notice after the fact, unfortunately, but as you bat him aside, you can see he almost looks grateful as he sails back through the portal.
Go get him, Timmy!
Yeah, excellent. And then Makaria, who I believe called out a bond with Zeus. How does Zeus's power directly manifest in this contest?
Yeah. Makaria's pissed because someone's fucking with, her domain for the most part. And she is kind of does as she always does and like stabs her staff into the ground, and tremors of earth, like the earth trembles, and then rises up around this sorcerer, and starts to kind of push in on him, and the wind sort of starts to speed up. Her hair blows in the wind, her eyes shine brightly, and into this like bowl she has made, where still things can pass through, but within it lightning starts to just fire down upon that area, almost in this like ball lightning sort of thing, and the sky rumbles with thunder as she calls upon her great uncle Zeus to look upon this sorcerer who is defiling the portal way between the Zeus's realm and Hades.
Yeah. And yeah, as this lightning kind of strikes, it just continues to strike Erastos's form until at last one last bolt comes down and hits him square in the chest. And you can see as like his robe kind of disintegrates into like little flecks of ash, and his skin completely now just disintegrates as well. And you can see his skeletal form kind of trying to reach towards you all as it's being pulled back. And he's unable to maintain his form at this point. And he falls. Which now brings us to the threat phase. So I kind of want to up the ante here because I feel like it's appropriate. So
been pretty high so far, sir.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But there's a way to sort of up the ante here. And yeah, let's see. I think for this threat phase, there will be 3 threats. Before, there have been 2, and that is kind of the standard. But to add a bit of drama, you can opt to do 3. which will, make things a bit more tense, I think. So there are 3 threats that will come to pass if you do not prevent them. 1, Erastos, with his sort of dying breath, will remove the safeguards from his magic, which will cause the manor to twist and destroy itself, plunging the heroes, himself, Orphny, and the Shades into the depths of Tartarus.
Whoa.
That's 1. In
Skip
addition,
that one.
yeah.
Start with that one, sure.
In addition, Orphny, should you not prevent this, Orphny will be stripped of her status by Hades for failing in her duties, as his wrath will come upon her. And lastly, the spirit of Calibos, a bloodthirsty war leader, will escape the island and be able to travel into the mortal world. So those are the 3 threats. Now, we have this great thing with the module now where we could place our tokens on where we would like to be now. So we have a seize contest and a defend contest. Remember that for everyone who prevails in the defend contest, you will be able to stop 1 threat. And if you prevail in the seize contest, you will be able to take control and determine the stakes of the final battle. So who is going where?
Okay, so can you go over that? Because one of them is the dude's going to use his dying breath to do the thing, and the other one is the bad guy's going to get off the island. What's the third?
And the third one is that Hades is going to strip Orphny of her title.
I thought that happened if we all got.
No, that's a third thing that can happen, and you all may decide that is fine, and that is totally that. Yeah, I hear you. So I mean that's totally up to you all what you would like to prevent and how many you would like to put on preventing these things.
Sorry to drive the point home again.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly go through the 3 again.
So Erastos will remove the safeguards from his magic, which will cause the manor to sort of twist and collapse in on itself, which will take all of you to Tartarus, including all of the Shades on the island.
I played this game, Betrayal in the House on Haunted Hill. The house eats the whole group. Yeah, that's bad.
Every time?
That one sounds the worst, I think, to me.
It's pretty bad. Bad to us, specifically to us, and the prospect of this game continuing forward.
Yeah. Well, you can find your way out, I'm sure. There's still a finale contest.
We know where there's a gate.
Yeah, so then the other thing is that Orphny is stripped of her title, which you know that would mean that Orphny would likely have to return to her tree and sort of be unable to leave it after that point. Or at least she would not have the freedom she has now, and there would be a new torchbearer, and things would be a bit difficult. And the third one is that a sort of this spirit of this bloodthirsty war leader that is Calibos, that has sort of manifested in the mortal world, would escape and sort of continue what he did in life.
Is he a shade now?
He's a shade now, yeah.
Okay.
So if I remember correctly, when we've done this in the past, these were the bad things that would happen, and then we would have to designate a certain number of people to deal with them, and then a certain number of people to go deal with the actual
to try to seize control of the situation, right? And remember, Makaria, you get the D10 advantage die from prevailing or from being best in the clash. So you have a D10 that you can call on whenever for the rest of this battle.
So Makaria would like to defend.
Okay. Drag your token on there. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Oh, right.
Will you give me control of the gray token?
I think that's actually a good. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, so click on the token.
Okay.
And then go open up one of our characters. So you've got the token selected. Click on one of our characters and edit the bio and info. And there should be a box in there that says use the selected token.
Edit, use selected token. Sweet. Okay. I should have done this earlier. I didn't think about it because I don't know anything about this thing. What color is Phaedras' token?
Red.
Red.
Red, right. Okay. I think that's red. Some of these colors are at interesting kind of values. Makaria gets the purple one. Which
Yep.
purple one? There's like a magenta and then like a purple. Okay. I kind of answered my own question there, didn't I?
Mhm.
And then Hilarion looks to be green. Well, like they're
Yeah, no, I
both
hear you. I hear
purple
you.
to me.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But yeah, okay.
Even when I talk about colors and fashion that I have to explain.
Yeah, you talk at me and I just try to keep up. All right, you all should be able to move your tokens now onto the little diamond we have. I might try to.
You might have to, now that we're assigned, you might have to go in and say that we can control on that same page. Because I can't move my gray token.
Yeah, I can't either.
Okay. See, I knew, we did need
There's
to fill a
many
little bit of
steps.
many ways. I don't see.
When you click on a token, is there something that pops up that's like a sprocket?
Yeah.
Probably. Okay.
In there, it may let you say, let this
Oh,
player
okay.
control this token.
There it
Controlled
is.
by David.
Hey.
Controlled by
Boom.
Katrina.
I'm in the clash.
Controlled by. Well, we're not in the clash anymore. We're done with
I
it.
know. I just moved myself to the clash.
Vax.
Right.
Was that
That
Vax
wasn't-
or?
And now there's
yeah.
Hawking. Professor Hawking has entered the room.
Professor Hawking. What a lovely. Okay, I'm getting down to the.
I'm gonna change the situation over here so he stops meowing so much. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, everyone should be able to control their tokens and use this very, very lovely diamond. I can actually drop this. They made the diamond as like a hand or like its own thing that you can just kind of drop onto any map, which I love.
Okay.
The clucks.
So just so I understand, so defending, or what is seizing? Which one is that?
Seizing is taking control and determining the stakes of the finale contest. So that's where if you prevail in the seize contest, you get to say, this is what happens. If you don't prevail in the seize contest, then sort of your adversary gets to choose their own stakes and their own domain for the contest, and you won't be able to get like the best result.
The problem here is that Hilarion really wants to make sure that we do what Hermes would want, but I haven't seen any sign of. I'm not sure what Hermes would want here. Anything in particular?
Well, he gave the shining beacon guiding the lost back home, right?
Right.
He wants those guys home.
Yeah. So
What was Hecate's? Or Hecate's?
Hers was darkness.
Darkness.
All light snuffed out, and all sentries blinded.
I think Hecate. Yeah, I don't know.
Only I know what they actually want.
Right.
So who's green? Is it Hilarion?
That's me,
Hilarion.
yeah.
All right. Hilarion and Xenon share a look. And Xenon, just with his gaze alone, asks Hilarion, are you going to seize or are you going to defend?
What is the challenge for seizing? Like, we know all these three things for defending.
So that's the. I mean, it's going to be against kind of like the same adversary. It's just another contest that I'm going to roll up. You kind of get to decide the domain, though. So
Like,
yeah,
value the crap out of it.
I'll just click. I'll click some things that apply, and then I'll. It's the same as it kind of always is for a contest. So.
Okay, I don't know what that actual like is okay.
These are
usually
less.
It's like you're going to go do these things, and then the assault or the seize is that you go and save the king. Was one of the things.
So the seize here is that you are going to take control of the situation, whatever that means to you.
Okay.
Right, and these are a bit more. The threat, the defend is very specific because there are three things that are going to happen that you all need to stop. The seize is more like you are taking control in whatever form that looks like, which lets you determine what the finale contest looks like. So that's why it's not going to be very specific, because you get to determine what it looks like, basically.
It's too much thinking for Hilarion. He's going to defend.
All right,
Okay.
all right. Then seeing Hilarion move to the defensive positions, then Xenon nods and goes for the seize.
All right, excellent. That means I have to roll up some contests now. So we start with a defend contest. The divine wrath has subsided for now. Who are you actually? You're not against Erastos, so that's good for you. I think now the thing that's left is sort of the dead. I think that the dead are kind of what you're against here, especially because some of these threats are specifically shades like escaping, and they're the things that you're trying to. It's not so much that they're trying to attack you anymore. You are trying to sort of wrangle them and herd them back into the underworld at this point. So that's good. That's what we'll roll against here. We'll go ahead and roll. The defend contest, I think that's just any domain. I think you tell me what you're doing to defend.
Well, I think because it's one for each of the things, right? We have to decide which one we're doing.
So you go ahead and like roll against the target number, and then everyone who prevails gets to pick one thing to stop. You don't choose beforehand. It's just whoever. So target number 11, Perilous, because the dead, they're still vengeful, and now they're kind of starting to get their wits about them, some of them, and they're getting a little crafty. And they're not directly under the control of anyone anymore, and so they're kind of starting to have opinions of their own, which is probably worse than them just being kind of servants to this thing. So everyone may test their fate, and then we'll find out how it goes.
These other tokens, what are these?
Those are just tokens that they give. So like those 3 are like just ways that your heroes might look.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then the rest of them are just like colors that I think the color ones are like a lot easier to keep track of, right? Because they match like your player color. But yeah, I might look into getting us like a battle kind of scene to where we can show this visually on stream. Probably just the same one as the Strife player sheet, except just fitting the battle map into that box. So I'll work on that for next time or the time after.
This
I have a D10, right?
Huh?
I added D10, right?
You can do that now, or you can wait until the finale. You can only use it once. Remember, you can always mark your great deeds.
How bad do we need to hit all 3 defense?
Well, one of those sends us to Hades, so we have to hit that one.
Right.
You would love to have at least one.
Yeah.
At least 1. 2 would be better.
2 would be great.
3 would be ideal. But
so I'm going to spend my advantage now.
Okay. Also, Xenon, I would recommend using many things.
I know.
Since you're all by
I'm
yourself.
waiting to see how the defense go, right? Because I have to wait.
Yeah,
to see
because your contest is next. So.
Yeah.
All right.
I have many things to use.
That's good.
I've been banking.
All right, we've got 1, we've got 2.
Wow. Dang, guys.
Are we gonna
15,
clean
16?
sweep it?
yeah, I'm trying to see if I have anything else good to try to like roll into here. Not that.
Yeah. And you guys can kind of pick too, like which one you're cool. Okay, so yeah, very very close.
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 is You could do 2 very good things. So I guess the question is, which thing is going to come to pass? And you all, so the 2 of you who prevailed, what consequence are you stopping?
Hilarion's goal would be to stop the us being pulled into Tartarus.
Yeah.
That's his.
Yeah.
He's going right there to make sure that with his dying breath doesn't actually becomes a dying breath. It's going to be. So that's where Hilarion is undoubtedly headed.
Then if that's the case, then I'm helping with the spirits. Right,
Okay.
that was the one?
So there was the spirit that was going to escape,
No.
and then there was Orphny that was going to kind of suffer
Orphany,
consequences.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay,
Help
so you're going to
Orphny.
help Orphny. So that means that Kalabos, the shade, will escape the island.
Sure. Hilarion can chase him down some other time.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great goal for Hilarion later.
So
No,
I think that
really like ghosts.
I think that probably would mean that Phaedras was chasing after Kalabos. Right, being the one that suffered. So make sure to mark Pathos because this was a perilous contest. So what does Phaedros do, and how does he come up short?
I think Phaedros is trying to do what he has been doing because it sort of worked for the most part, kind of earlier. And it's like, he's trying to fight this guy back. Like he's trying. He's just kind of like, stab, shield, prevent, block, but this guy is not like just some other soldier, and he's not some shade at random. This guy is like the Chaos Warband leader out of the miniature set. Like he's like,
Kalabos
jagged axe and covered in skulls and something.
Yeah, even as a shade, Kalabos stands it's probably around 7 feet tall. He has like these enormous shoulders, like festooned with skulls across across like his chest, and he has one of those helmets that kind of has horns coming from it and spikes and stuff. He looks terrifying and like someone who should very much be in the Underworld. It's very much preferable.
We really don't want this guy getting out.
But yeah, you're fighting him, and he has this jagged axe that kind of drips with some liquid. But it sort of turns to mist as it falls off because he's still a shade. But yeah, and I think as Phaedros is fighting, I think with every step that Kalabos takes towards Phaedros as he's kind of pushing him back with just brute strength, I think he gets a little more solid, and you can see through him a little less until eventually he has enough physicality to just bat Phaedros aside. And sort of trudges on down the hill through the forest, and you kind of lose sight of him in the trees. And you're not sure how he intends to escape the island. You're not sure if there are other boats or what rules even govern a shade that has returned to the mortal world, but you get the idea that perhaps he will escape. But that's a problem for another day, maybe. And so that brings us to Hilarion. How do you stop this house from collapsing, or what do you do to keep the safeguards in place?
I mean, I think we've fought and beat back and just nearly destroyed this necromancer, right? And he's beat down and he's on the ground, and he's sitting there and he's like, "You think you've won?" Blah blah blah. And the camera zooms in on his face, and he's like, "With my dying breath," and then there's just a chunk of metal there where his head was. They're just like, "No, boom."
Yeah.
It's like the camera just zooms out, and there's Hilarion with the club. It's like, we're not messing around. I ain't dealing with no curses. I'm on a spooky haunted island. You're not going to add curses to that. I don't know what he was going to say. It was going to be bad.
Yeah, Hilarion, you see he's like on the ground. He's giving this like monologue, trying to buy some time to do what he's trying to do. And you can see as he's trying to reconstitute himself, like these sort of spectral rags are kind of clinging to his bones. You can see this like desiccated skin kind of start to grow across his form. But right mid-sentence, you just slam this club down, and the skull just shatters and clatters across the ground in all these little shards of bone. And you see, as you do this, you notice another one of those occult implements, like as this happens, kind of flares. It starts to glow a little brighter. And you think, I should probably break that. And so with another just very simple motion, just almost just one motion, you bring the club around again and just smash this phylactery. And you see the shade of Erastos get pulled through his own portal into the underworld as he's gone for good.
Yes.
Excellent. And so Makaria.
So what's the scene with her right now? Like, what is she? The giant.
Yeah. So I think as everyone is having this fight in the courtyard, you see sort of the blue light that was coming from the sort of room that she was trapped in. You see it kind of grow dim, and you get this chill like that goes up your spine, and you recognize this sensation. Like, this is like Hades is here. And you know that Hades, his artifact is the Helm of Shadow, and so you will not be able to see him, but he is here. And is getting ready to deliver some divine punishment onto Orphny for her failure, because he has now noticed the things that were going on in his kingdom. You all made enough noise that he finally was like, that's what that's been this whole time? And kind of gotta move on. And so, yeah, you just kind of feel this chill in this room, and you can see that Orphny looks she is despairing, and she looks sorrowful, and she's looking at the spot that if you focus very hard, you can almost see the shadow of a shape of this just enormous figure, with wearing a helm and kind of like this long cloak.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Makaria will step into and between Orphny and the shadow, pushing Orphny back, and she'll just be very quietly, very resolute. Hello, stepfather. It is good to see you again. And she'd kind of, making sure that Orphny's protected, say that they have defeated, that it was this other person, the sorcerer, who has now been banished back to Hades, that has caused this problem, and that she was just doing her job as best she could. And she calls on just her own power, though not to be matched by Hades, but to show that she's willing to sacrifice for Orphny to continue to do her work.
Yeah, and I think you don't hear anything. There's no response. There's no words. And you kind of feel like as you speak, the room gets like colder and colder. And then it stops. And you see as the blue flames that kind of surround the dais that Orphny was on kind of begin to move, and kind of in these small tendrils kind of begin to take shape into an orb that just kind of hovers there in the air. And then you see just the faintest like flick of a wrist from this shadowy figure, and the flames move, and Orphny is almost pushed back by the force with which they return to her torch. And she kind of kneels down, her torch now alight once more, the flames now once more under her control, and just kind of kneels down and very quietly just says, "Thank you." And then,
Makaria would just bow her head to the shadow as well. Thank you, stepfather. Thank you.
Yeah. And then with this kind of chilling breeze, you do not feel that presence in the room anymore.
Is anyone else really hoping that Makaria is going to pull out like the puppy dog eyes and be like, "But Dad, she's my friend"?
And that was the next thing, right?
I mean,
the first thing didn't work.
She did that in a much more dignified manner, but it was very much like, Hey, you know me.
Yeah.
Mom's
Hey.
Mom would be so mad if you did this right now.
Come on.
Yeah.
Mom would
Yep.
just be so angry.
Are you gonna tell mom about what you're about to do?
Right.
Do I have to tell mom about what is about to happen here? Just
But yeah, and so that brings us to the end of our defend contest. So now Xenon, the sort of things that are going on have calmed, but there are still just these legions of shades on this island with nowhere to go, and they're starting to remember their life as the effects of the river Lathe do not always reach the mortal world, and that's kind of why shades are to remain, and they even then shades have to drink multiple times to completely forget. And so yeah, they're starting to remember, they're starting to organize, like finding people they knew, and it's starting to get a bit fraught, and a bit dangerous here. So what is Xenon's tact to sort of challenge these shades?
Xenon has gotten to know these shades over his time on this island, in a very like
a few hours, really.
yeah, but as almost as a student of them. He's learning about them. He's been observing them, and he knows that they are drawn to certain things. And by God, this sorcerer had so many implements that was able to command these shades, and I believe that Xenon can take a moment to understand an implement or two, manipulate the blue flame, manipulate the green flame in such a way as to corral these shades and force them through the portal.
Yeah.
Such that once they're on the other side, I can close this portal perhaps, but either way, they will be back in the underworld where they belong. And so, yeah, Xenon is going to try and figure this out through.
Sounds like craft and reason to me.
Yeah, through my best die is what he's going to do.
Right. That's fair. That's so fair. Cool. Target number 13.
Good. That's the number I wanted to see. All right, cool. Yeah, so Shadow-wise, far-sighted Xenon is going to call upon his bond with Zeus to make this happen.
Authority. Get a little authority in the mix.
Yeah. Like he maybe grabs one of these implements and speaks with a booming voice, across the island.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Because I'm going for a 13.
I'm going to put out there that I want you to succeed.
That's good. I'm glad you're rooting for me. I'm glad you're rooting for me. I'm gonna.
There's nothing I can do about it, but
yeah.
I do want
to bring in some arts and oration because I talked about maybe doing a booming voice, so we can just
your
that.
voice.
And I'm burning my bond with Zeus. So that's a D12.
12. Yeah.
Oh, I need it.
It needs to roll like a higher thing.
It needs to roll high. It needs to roll
not
high.
That high though, right? Because like it's just
good.
a 13. You need like an 8 and a 5.
It needs to be good.
Or
it
some
needs to be good.
A 7 and a 6, right? You just need some upper sides of some dice, but
yeah. Oh man.
It's the tension.
Yeah, it's the
palpable.
It's the favor question. I'm going to call upon the beauty of Aphrodite to attract these shades, and understand her power to make this happen.
Yep.
Oh God. There we go. That's the right number. Yes.
Excellent. All right. Perfect. So you seize control in this way. So how do you seize control of the situation? You don't solve the problem,
right?
Necessarily, but you do seize control of the situation to set you and your fellow heroes up to finish this.
Yeah. So I think that Xenon cannot manage the blue flame because that is now in the hands of
Orphny. Once more has it. Yeah.
Yeah. But Xenon can work with Orphny.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so Xenon grabs some of these implements of the sorcerer and does not use them in their like arcane grandeur way, but they have still some mundane properties, and so
Mhm.
is able to stand next to Orphny. And one of the implements projects their image, the two of us standing side by side, across the whole island as a big pillar in the
Mhm.
island, and is able
Yeah.
to speak with a booming voice, with a commanding voice, both of us looking with the beauty of Aphrodite, drawing the attention of every shade on the island, and able to elicit this commanding voice of Zeus, and just with a brighter light and almost an electric feel across the entire island, marshals
Mhm.
the attention of every shade, and
Right.
they begin to shuffle towards where we intend them to go, but we have them arrested at this
Excellent.
point.
Yeah. And so I think Orphany helps by kind of brightening her torch
Cool.
and calling upon Phobos to make this extremely bright blue flame. And in addition to that, this projection that you have made, the voice that you command, and sort of the beauty of Aphrodite, these shades do begin to march towards the manor into the portal that remains open.
Yep.
And so now that brings us to the finale. What domain will you be calling upon to get these spirits to return to where they come from?
Is that my call, or is that
That is, you seize control, so you determine the domain and the stakes. So, what do you want to happen? First of all, what is your goal for the finale?
Oh man, I need. Well, Phaedras is the one who understands the will of the gods here. So Phaedras, what do we want to have happen? I know they all got to go into the temple and they got to go to the underworld, but other than that,
we need them to go through. Yeah. We need to make sure that Erastos sounds like he's already gone, but that he will definitely be, congratulations, you're Hades' new plaything. Have fun with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's real happy about people that kind of just try and come and go.
Yeah,
So we
you
need
know
to be
how,
able to close the portal
Yeah.
after they all get through.
So like how in D&D, like in D&D lore, there's like Mephistopheles, and he's got his own layer of hell, and he collects magic users and makes them toil away in his arcane laboratories for all eternity. Erastos is looking at something similar to that.
got it. So okay, good. Yeah, then I think that the stakes are all of the shades on the island, those who have not already escaped.
So far, that is one that you know of.
Yeah. Find their way to the portal and through it, and we are able to destroy the portal in such a manner that it could not be remade.
Okay.
And that the implements that he has gathered on this island are also destroyed in that process, save for perhaps one, some sort of great thing that could be taken away from this island.
Let me look actually at what the special reward is.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Is it the portal itself?
No, it's not.
Okay, good. Because there have been some really powerful things that we've walked away with.
Yeah, there will be. This one will be pretty okay. It won't like break the world or anything. But
darn, that's what we were wanting.
But yeah, cool.
How many cards do you want to pull out of this deck? Yeah. Right.
So what is the what's the domain here?
If Xenon has his way, it would be craft and reason. So yeah, I guess I'll call it as craft and reason, because we're going to try and continue to use the stuff that we've marshaled together to continue to draw them towards this as a beacon, and try and be clever in our way of doing so.
Is anyone making this mythic? Because I always forget to ask that, and then we decide. Would anyone like to make this contest mythic? And if so, whose attention are you going to call?
It has gone bad every time we have, right? Like that's
almost.
What happens?
Bring that properly.
The person who makes it mythic tends to not get it. It tends to be the others who get the thing.
Yeah, everybody else gets the thing.
Yeah.
So someone make the decision. I made it last time, and David made it the time before. So it's on the mics. Is it mythic or not?
I don't know that it needs to be mythic.
Okay.
What do you
That's
think?
fine. It
Agreed.
doesn't have to be. It
Let's
doesn't
see.
have to
There
be.
we go.
All right,
Okay.
there it is.
So
Got
roll
it.
it up.
Okay, got it.
Roll it up. Craft and Reason, finale contest, target number 10.
Okay.
This isn't like. So, like, the last time we did was Sparrow, right? And so we had those machines that were learning. And so I was throwing like 20 d8s
Yeah.
at you guys. And so it was always a 13,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
basically. And you guys kind of defeated the guy who had all the d10s to throw at you. So
That feels good.
focused on that. All right, sweet.
If your pathos caps out, you go into agony. Do you
Yes.
also check a fate when you do that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All those things happen at once. Fifth pathos, mark agony, so you remember that you're in agony, and then mark fate. How's Phaedras looking on fate?
This will make 5.
5 out of how many?
3.
No, not 20.
You have 7 left.
7 left. Okay.
Oh, you hit that second one? You got that second dot up in there?
Oh yeah, I've got all the first tier boons already.
Sweet.
Does anybody have a name die of a D10?
just-
No, I think it's
think
just
just you.
you.
I'm gonna spend a bond. I didn't know if I was gonna spend a bond with who it was gonna be with.
I think everyone's D8.
I'll do it with Makaria.
Nice. Again, guys.
Jeez,
Again.
dude.
David, really?
I don't mean to tie you. I don't. I just don't want to suffer. That's all I'm going for.
Oh, well, it don't matter.
Oh, Phaedros! Phaedros with the big guns.
Oh my god. Okay. Excellent. So that means we are going to be starting with Makaria. How do you help the group to shepherd these shades towards the portal? Orphny is there helping if you want to call on her and everything like that. But how do you sort of move this process forward?
I think the torchbearer is on one side, and with a similar light, Makaria is on the other, forming a way for the spirits back into the portal. Just very simply, just being just a place for them to walk through so they can see where they are going. Makaria is looking for a certain spirit, though.
Who's she looking for?
Her husband. She's thought she briefly saw him.
Yeah.
And so she's keeping an eye on the spirits to see if she sees him again.
I think she does. I think this is the time that she does see that. You know, she sees her husband. He seems still lost, like he doesn't quite understand where he is or like what's happening still, and that's simply because he's not at least my understanding, he's not the type of person that would want to sort of buck against the natural order of things, like some of these shades who have actively been trying to pull themselves back so that they can return to the physical world. I think he's, especially, you know, having been associated with you, would very much know the natural order of things and wouldn't want to sort of break from that. But he does recognize you.
Makaria will conjure a poppy flower and pass it to him, but say nothing else.
Yeah, he'll take it, and he does find purchase on it with his sort of spectral hand, but he takes it and he looks at it, and he looks at you, and he looks confused for a moment, but then kind of his eyes go wide with kind of recognition, and he just kind of smiles. it's a little sad, but also like a little happy because he wasn't expecting this kind of gift that he'd been given, and
Hmm. She
Sort of.
will smile, but then allow him to leave without dwelling upon it.
yeah, he does. He kind of smiles and pauses for a moment, and then looks at the portal, and then kind of
She'll just
nods,
nod.
and
Mhm.
then turns and walks through. Excellent. All right. So, Xenon or Hilarion, whoever wants to go first.
Hilarion can go first. He's going to be very simple about this. He's got a big, shiny piece of magic metal on the end of a stick, and he's just waving it along. And as he does, just singing a song. All the shades go back into the portal. All the shades go back into the portal. All the shades back into the portal. And then we get the hell off this island.
Yeah.
He's just, let's go, people. We're just moving along. Hey, no, back in line, you. He's just absolutely playing Usher here. He's
Yeah, and you definitely you find some shades that perhaps were revelers or something to that nature in their life, and they are definitely enjoying the song and are actually kind of like doing a little dance as they go back to the underworld, and are kind of like, because there's all types of shades here. They're not all bad shades. They're not all good shades. It's all types. Just any who escaped or were pulled from their domains.
He was non-specific as to the type of shades he
He
corralled.
just opened a portal and just quantity, please. Like most necromancers, right? Like it's all about the quantity, not the quality.
Hilarion doesn't care. He's just sending them all back in. Timmy, I see you. Get back in line, Timmy.
Yeah, I think Xenon is going to take a kind of darker path here.
Okay.
With being far-sighted and shadow-wise, Xenon is going to use these implements almost like the Eye of Sauron or Saruman. And he's going to peer across this island and find shades that are running.
Yeah, you got the Palantir or whatever kind of deal, just like looking into it. Yeah,
and he's going to beam them with an intense ray that lets them know that they are caught, and it'll be uncomfortable for them, so they'll be forced to stop their fleeing and come back.
I think kind of what form that takes is you've already kind of figured out this like mirrored approach, like using mirrors to reflect light, and I think the implements you find allow you to kind of direct the light of Phobos and of Orphany's torch.
Yep.
And you just kind of like bring that across like the island onto these shades, and they see it and are sort of drawn to it instinctually, regardless of what their sort of opinions are. They cannot help but follow its flame.
Cool.
And so they return.
I will just say that we totally should have made this mythic, because then we've all gotten bond with somebody.
Yep.
Because we did all prevail.
But if
we would have said it, we wouldn't have.
Right. No, I get it.
If I had to click that button, it would have messed up the RNG and it would have all gone terribly, right? All right. And so Phaedras, the shade touched, very sort of appropriately is the one who is best here and finishes guiding the shades, closing the portal, and whatever else Phaedras would like to do. So what does Phaedras do?
No, distribute hats. Nothing. No, so Phaedros, yeah, hats are cool. Phaedros will put his hand on Orphany's shoulder and say, like, I need your aid for this. And he will kind of like draw some power from her. And his eyes will go black, and he'll kind of like hover a little bit. And like in the Harry Potter movies, when like they start speaking parcel tongue and like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to anybody else anymore, he kind of does that sort of thing, but it's like it's amplified across the entire island. Like that's the thing that Orphny is helping to accomplish, and it's him issuing with the authority of Zeus, and by pulling in his resolvent spirit here, this kind of like commanding voice that is heard everywhere by all of them, that this is the time to return, and through the portal everybody must go.
Mhm.
I think towards the end of there's a moment when Nicarchus comes in like the herd that's coming through, maybe
Right.
towards the end. And I forgot my own character's name. Phaedras will take a moment to like embrace him before he passes through the portal, and tell him that, like, your wife and children will want for nothing, and like let him kind of pass through as everything kind of like
Mhm. Yeah.
closes out.
And yeah, I think as you are kind of working to close this portal, Orphny kind of steps away from you, like through the portal, and you are now like looking at each other through this. And she kind of looks at you and nods, and then kind of takes her torch and like taps on the ground on the other side, and you can see it start to close. And then you feel that sort of in your hands, the blue flame is still with you as well. And you are able to, with Orphny, able to close this portal. And as it sort of collapses in on itself, and the house, there's like this tremendous, almost like earthquake, as this house sort of untethers itself from these arcane energies and just returns to a sort of mundane manner. But eventually things kind of settle down, and you all are left in this courtyard, with sort of the only real light for the moment being the blue flames that still reside within Phaedras' hands. That's your special reward, by the way. You get the blue flame.
That's awesome for the shade touched.
Yeah.
To have this ability to.
It does. I'll go ahead and tell you guys what the blue flame actually does, because it. So it is a sacred flame contained in a torch, which may pierce through illusions and control the spirits of the underworld. And yeah, I think after like, your eyes have returned to normal and you stop floating and all of those things, you feel that the flame is like that cold heat, and it kind of starts to burn your hands, and you are able to sort of grab a torch out of a sconce and gently place it within, where it sort of remains and burns as long as you hold it. And yeah, so that is our finale. You all have done it. You've
That's awesome.
returned the shades to the underworld, save but one. But how much damage could one shade of a warlord do, really? Gotta find his way back.
It's fine. It's nothing.
Like, and then on these seas with all of these mists, how is he even gonna find the mortal world, right? Like, another day's problem. But yeah, you all are sort of left alone on this island, and I think as we sort of wrap things up for the evening, yes.
Sorry, you said last game that we would do that one part at the end of the session.
You're right. Yes.
Because it becomes very hard for us to do it next session. Sorry.
You're right. That's fair. Okay. Are you talking? Okay, I think I just
Virtues.
I got it.
The virtues thing where you
told right, the virtues as well. But I think the as y'all are standing here, you squint a bit, as for the first time in a while, the sun has sort of returned to its motion and crests over the horizon, and the day has finally dawned upon you all. And before we do virtues, there's one other thing I would like to do. You all hear again the sound of a hammer against an anvil. This time coming from a room within the home. And it kind of catches all of your attention, and you're drawn to follow it. And it's much easier to traverse this home now. It is just a normal manner. Things make sense. And you find, after a few sort of turns, a forge within this home. And you see that there is a man with sort of an almost kind of deformed face. Like, he's got some sort of defects going on in the shape of his face, and he has these sort of metal braces around his legs and his spine that allow him to stand behind the forge. And he doesn't really look up, but you can hear as his hammer hits, and he looks at Phaedros, and he says, "Boy, lend me that flame." And gestures towards the sort of blue flame that Phaedros holds. He says, "But for a moment."
Yeah.
And you can see as like with his bare hand that he wears no gloves. He grabs a bit of the flame off of the torch and like places it in the forge, which then starts to glow with like these blues and purples and all of these strange colors. And he says, "You, I'll need that hunk of rock." Kind of looking at Hilarion. Does Hilarion give him the piece of star metal?
Do I get the sense that he is a god?
You get the sense that no one else is supposed to be on this island. It's quite strange that this gentleman now stands behind the forge and can manipulate Phobos, the blue flame, with his bare hands.
You see, it's kind of like he thinks about it for a second, then he sighs, and then he starts undoing all of the wrappings because it took a fair amount of rope
It
to
definitely
tie
did.
this thing on here. I mean, he had to get some help. There's probably a little bit. He even teamed up with the guy with the weird eye. He tried to get this all worked out to figure it in there and get it balanced. So it takes him a minute, but he gets it off of there.
Right. And as you hand it to him, he kind of, measures its weight a bit and then sort of places it into the smelter that is next to this forge. And he again grabs a bit of that blue flame and sort of blows it into sort of the smelter, and it kind of flares. And pretty soon he has like workable molten metal out of this. And he says, "What do you desire? Armaments? Armor?"
Great big club.
Okay. The rest of you?
Spearhead.
Easy enough.
Caps for the staff.
All right.
A dagger or two would do me well.
Very well. Gather your men. I'll be done. Thanks. When the sun reaches its peak. And he sends you all away. And you all are able to find your crew. They're still there. They seem sort of harrowed. Like this has been a very difficult thing for them to be here and to sort of deal with all of this. And kind of keep busy. It seems that they're very tired. They've been working for a lot of hours, and they've been working hard to distract themselves. But you find them, and you get them sort of dealt with and comfortable, and have them make all the preparations to leave. And after some few hours, the sun reaches its zenith. And as you all return to the forge, you find that it lays cold and dormant. But each of the items you requested have been laid out on a table, on a very fine cloth, which you all are able to retrieve. There are caps from Makaria's staff, and you find, instead of a club, Hilarion, you find that many studs have been made that you will be able to implant into your club. And kind of attach to it, make sort of a, what is it, like the Tetsubo, kind of like the big Japanese club with the stubs sort of deal.
Yeah. It's like a big gnarly baseball bat made out of like hardwood.
Yeah. This is not a joke. It's a bad boy.
Yeah. I think they were for taking out like horses and shit. Like they were not friendly.
Yeah. Xenon, you find 2 daggers, but they're of strange construction, and are able to be hidden.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of a mechanism, and I think we talked about last time sort of the Assassin's
We
Creed
did.
kind of
I
deal.
just didn't. I didn't want Xenon to over ask because.
Yeah, but no, you find these strange mechanisms, and you find that you can attach them sort of to your bracers, and sort of hide them and things like that.
Awesome.
And
That's what I want. That's awesome.
whether you put them on like the underside or the upper side is sort of up to you, because they've done both now canonically in the game,
Yeah.
so you can do both. But yeah, in Phaedros you find sort of not only a spearhead, but you find a lantern, like the casing of a lantern, and it's a strange configuration. It's not one that you've sort of seen before. There's a lot of different kind of almost lenses you can kind of flip over to sort of adjust the light and the color of it.
Does it come with a ring that he could use with the blue flame, and he could
Yeah,
say an
and-
oath, and then
Not quite that. Not quite there. But yeah, and you get the sense that you could place the blue flame within, and it would be much safer than on this torch that you've been sort of carrying it around with. And yeah, and so you all retrieve your items gifted to you by Hephaestus as a sign that he's perhaps can find it within him to forgive. And you're all able to make your preparations to leave the island. So we'll do the virtues. I would like to noodle on how exactly I want to type up the fate of the island before, I'll wait a week on that. But let's go ahead and do our virtues and great deeds as well, I think, because that's the other thing that's kind of hard to remember, are the virtues and the great deeds. So we'll do those two things. So we'll start with virtues, and we'll start with Phaedros. I think for Phaedros, where did I put the virtues in here? They're somewhere. They're like
Thing in the
they're
Discord
probably
channel.
pinned somewhere. Yeah, they're pinned.
Yeah.
Third pin. They're the second pin.
Gotcha. Yes. I'm gonna say acumen, because I think there was a lot of knowledge of shades and a lot of I feel like all of those things, just being able to control the shades that way and kind of coming into that epithet so strongly is like, after just pick, I think that acumen. What would everyone else like to give Phaedros?
I think Hilarion is going to go with courage. That's a bit of a risk, asking going all freaky ghosty like that and doing all that kind of stuff. There's some risk, and so we'll go with courage.
Okay, excellent.
I'll also go with courage.
I am going to go with passion for his display of love and devotion to the shade that he took special care of on the island.
Excellent.
Oh, he does keep prophesying my death, but besides that,
He can't
I mean,
help that.
good
Yeah,
friend,
he can't help
yeah.
that.
You looked after him.
You just
the
wait.
poems just flow through you, man.
Yeah, you just wait till I'm gonna make an NPC with that exact name. It's just gonna show up on one of the islands. It's gonna be like, oh.
Oh, crap.
That's how the doomings work in Zweihander too. It's just, it doesn't inherently mean anything, but every time it shows up, your character is supposed to just be like, huh, what's happening? Oh no. Okay. Next up, let's do Hilarion next. I think for me, Hilarion showed a lot of, let me look at the list again. Courage. Wanted to run, but ended up doing a lot more fighting things head on than running.
I say passion. And it may be passion from fear, but still passion nonetheless.
Right.
It's very passionate about not being
On the island.
on the island. though he worked with us to solve problems.
Right.
I'm going to give Hilarion courage as well. I think that was and also like he was the one that you know had the vigor to fight the shades on their terms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give him acumen for his cunning and wit when he was fighting with
Erastos.
his name Erastos,
Yeah.
and having his little verbal interplay with him while he was beating him senseless.
Yeah. He said, "Oh, you can raise the dead. I cast club
Yeah.
at 9th level." Showed him what
Repeatedly.
for. All right, so
He's got the club lights going too because of the sparks off of his hammers. It's great.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, next let's do Makaria. I'm gonna say passion because there was a lot of like compassion, right, towards Orphny and her plight, and towards the shades and all of those things. So yeah, I'll go with passion.
Agreed. For seeking out and having a moment with her husband.
I'll go courage because standing up to Hades, it's courage. Look,
Now we're getting into the late game. You guys saw not one but two manifestations of gods this session.
Like, I had a teenage phase when I was in hell. Makaria did. So it's not the first time that she did this. It may have been a bit more pouty.
Yeah, we're gonna go
yeah,
with.
tell me what to do.
We'll go with courage, because it's still Hades.
Yeah.
Right. Still Hades. Yeah. And Xenon. I think I'll go acumen. I think there was a lot of relying on wit and on knowledge and learning and capitalizing on that information.
I think acumen as well here. For all those same reasons, there's a very technical solution to problems.
That is what I can think of as a player.
I'm gonna go with Grace because he handles things with a bit of finesse. So that one.
I'm gonna go with courage for his bravery and daring, and C's.
All right, so now we do your great deeds, or we're going to do them. This is not the order we're supposed to do things in, but I think this just works better since we kind of split things. So Phaedras, once again, I think gets the island reward of the blue flame, so you can mark that. What does everybody else think their sort of greatest deed or anything of that nature?
I mean, I think Hilarion's was easy. I mean, he killed the bad guy.
Like Sorcerer's Bane or something like that.
Sorcerer's Bane. We're gonna go with that.
Because turns out their tiny bodies are still just so frail. Should have been a demi-lich.
Mm-hmm.
Can I perhaps retcon a thing and say that Xenon didn't leave when Hephaestus was forging our things?
Okay. Yeah.
And Xenon worked as a what is an apprentice?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Xenon knows how to work a forge. He knows how to do all these things, but not around Hephaestus. Around Hephaestus, right. Xenon shovels the coals, blows the airbag, right? Whatever that is.
The bellows.
And left with the hammer.
Okay.
The Hephaestus wielded.
Mm-hmm. And I think there are other effects of watching this. Like, I think there was a reason that Hephaestus had asked you all to leave. I think maybe like Xenon even has some like streaks of gray in his hair and things like that, of just having seen this at work. It was like sort of difficult to comprehend at times, sort of the ways that Hephaestus was able to create these very small, compact mechanisms and things of that nature that you had no concept of before. And I think gaining that much sort of knowledge and insight at once has had sort of a bit of a toll as well. But you have this hammer.
Okay.
Which
and maybe
is,
the hammer is not appropriate. Maybe it is something else, like has seen the master work or something like that. Or...
Yeah, I think the hammer can be the like symbol of that, but
Okay.
the hammer itself, you don't feel is. This is not a godly tool.
No.
This is sort of mundane, but a reminder and sort of the focus for that knowledge. And I think that when you hold it and when you wield it, you can remember more and do more than when you don't, because it's just hard for your, even being a demigod, it's hard for your mind to kind of keep all of these things that you learned. But the hammer is kind of something to tether those memories to.
Yeah.
Makaria, I think.
So I think what I want to call it is Whisper of Death, or something close to that, as a great deed, because not only did she speak with Hades, but also helped the dead along, spoke with the torchbearer.
Right.
I just can't think of a good word for whisper. I also thought speaker, but that doesn't. That's what I'm thinking though.
Okay. Yeah, we can nail down a name for that, but yeah, I think definitely those deeds would be the ones to be recorded, right? Yeah. Cool. And I don't remember, I think in the past we've done it where if you get the island reward, you don't do a deed, or did we? I can't remember.
I don't think you do.
I don't think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think it says like you get like somebody gets the special reward, whoever's best, and then everybody else records their like great deed. But
so I'm gonna change my hair from I was keeping it bald. He's no longer keeping it bald, but as it grows in, it's just pure white.
Excellent.
So not like gray and aged, but like marred in some way, such that it is the pigment inside is white.
Right. Gotcha. Excellent. Okay, so I think that is where we can call things for this evening. The sun is rising. The sun has risen. It is at its zenith and beginning to set. And you all have your heading back into the mists. And we'll do our voyage phase next time. And, see what happens between these islands and who will be the leader on the next one. How the sacrifice goes, all those lovely things. We'll do that next week. And then after next week, we're going to take a couple weeks off. I'll go ahead and warn folks now. Because I'm going to just do a little bit of traveling, I think, on the weekends.
Yeah. I have some one-shot ideas. So I might run a couple of one-shots there. We have a Lasers and Feelings one-shot that is based on Cyberpunk I want to kind of run. And then I think I've got another one in me with The Expanse. So
awesome.
We might still be able to get together on Saturdays and play some one shots, but I'll have to orchestrate those a little bit first.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great. So that's all I've got.
Awesome. Well, hey everybody at home, thanks a ton for tuning in and watching. This was a fast island, but a tough island. There was a lot going on. And it really felt like every roll was high stakes. It's like we gotta win this one, guys. We can't all phone this one in.
we didn't even start off well. We kind of started off bad.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, this one's a gauntlet because it's like this is bad and we don't have really time to wait on anything. Like there's no people to talk to. There's no sleeping to be had. It's like that. It's going on. It's going down right here.
Yeah.
On this island. But
so we're gonna raid good old Cyberwolf, who is obviously a dear friend of ours over on the Jabroni TV side of the world. But Cyberwolf is his own man as well. He's a man of many talents. And he is playing Hollow Knight right now, I think.
Yep, I think he's finishing it.
Oh, cool.
He's in the final bit. So,
Dang, that's awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, we're gonna raid this cat. Everybody, drop some emojis in chat, give him some love, and we will be back again on not Wednesday because we're gonna be doing some character prep stuff, some game prep stuff. So Friday, Mass Effect is the next time we're all
Yes.
gonna get together.
Yep.
All right. As always, have fun and play well.
May all your rolls be crits.